Ah, my microphone was sorry about that. My microphone was mute, and guess who forgot to switch it on? Yes, it was me. Sorry about that. But anyway, tonight's guest. What I did say was there's a slight few seconds delay where YouTube is slightly behind Rumble. So that's why I delayed a bit at the beginning. That was my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. Anyway, tonight's guest is Nathan Allenby. Good night, good evening, Nathan.
Nice to
And
be here.
and also we have in the background we've also got our Minister of Cheese just turned up. Good evening, Patrick. Is he there? Good evening,
Eric, I
Patrick.
just wanted to, yeah, I
Yeah.
just wanted to let you know that Soapbox has got dead air at the moment. Maybe let Paul know. I just had to drop
Okay.
in to tell you that.
Oh, thanks, mate. Yes.
I'm I'm gonna, I'm gonna scoot out. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks. Yeah, I think Soapbox has been put on, so it's got dead air, but we're actually on Radio Soapbox, Holand Radio, and Holand Radio FM as well in America. We're also on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, and later we'll be on BitChute as well. And hopefully the bowler hat farmer will turn up at some time on the actual show. He's due to turn up, but I don't know what's happened. Perhaps he's busy milking the cows or something. I don't know. But we've also got because you remember somebody suggested I get Gareth Icke on, and he said aim high. So I asked Sakir Starmer, and he's actually coming on, and he's coming on tonight. And
Wow.
but unfortunately, this is why we're all smart. You see, we're all made up, And oh, that's good. Soapbox is fine. And Sakir Starmer has sent the best part of him, and here it is. It's a great honour, sir. And here it is, Sakir Starmer. Thank you,
Wow.
sir. It is a great summer. Yeah, hang on a minute. Hang on. Tastes like shit. Smells like shit. It's a bit like I didn't shred it, isn't it? So actually, it's a fake. It's a fake one. It's fake. All right. So I, between you and I took this to a meeting once. Because I was talking about, and everyone sitting around saying, "What are we doing?" It was a boring meeting, and while no one was looking, I just put this on the table. Yes, but they didn't see the joke, although the contract blokes did. So there's half of us laughing their heads off, and other people say, "That's bloody disgusting," Anyway, good evening, Kat Holly. Hello, Kat Holly. Very nice to have you here. And as you're the first one on, you can actually have a celebrity or a politician of your choice for us to stick two fingers up and blow a raspberry at. We got TP, evening TP. We got Sue Sparkle. Hello, Sue Sparkle. Alice Gorgeous, and it says, "Oh my God, don't lick it." What this? Yeah, it does.
Chocolate sauce.
Yeah, it does.
Slightly nutty.
It's actually Sir Keir Starmer's best, isn't it? I mean, it's good of him to send that, isn't it? That's the best part of Keir Starmer. There we go. It's a shame he flushes the best part of him down the loo each day, doesn't he? And it says, "Good thing I just finished my dinner." Anyway, we don't know what's happened to the bowler hat farmer. So come him. Maybe they got him. Who knows? But anyway, we'll carry on regardless. And Hatchy says, "I'm cooking a pork and mushroom casserole. I'm sure Keir Starmer loves a little pork and I kept mushroom heads up." Yes. He likes his sausage sandwiches, Yes. And but anyway, on with the show. You was going to say Nathan, that you had some very interesting points that you brought up on Telegram. So far away, over to you.
So, as I was starting to explain 2 weeks ago, the idea that digital ID is the problem, it's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yes.
The ID system is much larger than just digital ID alone. Digital ID and the requirement to carry around with us a digital device with, digital ID on us, that's going to be very much in our faces. But it's a much larger problem. It's more pervasive. The ID system, the whole of the ID system, is intended to make human beings into corporate property. And it's the ID system also effectively enmeshes governments in the globalist system of population control, controlling individuals, monitoring their activity, sharing that data in a public-private partnership. And really, it's about giving corporations control of people through their governments. It's far more pervasive than most people realize. So I've been having articles published about this, certainly since 2009. I'm not the first or the best author necessarily, but I'll do my best tonight. We, at the minute, lack credible opposition. I think what people don't realize is how deep and serious this is, and how much effort and commitment it will take to resist. This isn't going to be a matter of trying to fight digital ID alone. It's recognizing that this is the tip of the iceberg, a much larger problem, the government that's been occupied by globalization. Effectively, we have a foreign occupation government.
Agreed.
It's not acting in our interests.
Yes.
It's imposing an international system upon us. So we're finding that the same digital ID system is being imposed on countries all around the world, incredibly diverse, that we probably never heard of, very remote, and yet it's all happening at the same time. That this isn't just a coincidence when every country in the world imposes the same system at the same time. It's coordinated. Our government is not acting on its own initiative. It's doing what it's being told to do. It's acting as part of a coordinated international plan. Now, what do you have when you have a foreign occupation government? Now, this is the thing that you've got to realize here. We've had this foreign occupation government for a long time. This plan has been unfolding since 1994. This plan all was started in train with a treaty that started. Well, Maastricht. The Maastricht Treaty happened in 1992. John Major, and the treaty that came straight after that, the first thing the European Union negotiated was the GATS Treaty, the General Agreement on Trade and Services, in 1994. And that essentially is what created this global ID system. So they realized after they'd negotiated this treaty, the treaty that created the World Trade Organization, that they were going to need a digital ID system. And the following year, 1995, there was a meeting in Brussels, a sort of G6 meeting, which coordinated how that was going to happen. And so this is a very long, well-considered process. It was always obvious that this is where it was going to go. This is just the logical conclusion of a system of control. They have to monitor us. Geolocation, really. They're tracking us. They want to. It's putting a digital asset number on us and tracking us where we go. And most people are very happily compliant with this. Now, one of the things that a foreign occupation government does, and this is one of the things I was discussing with Eric earlier, is if you look at, say, what the British did in Malaysia, what the Americans did in Vietnam, what the British did in South Africa in the Boer War, is when they have an opposition, they separate the opposition from the food. So they cannot have the farmers supplying food to the rebels. So what they do is they take all of the farmers, all of the population, and they put them into new villages. Concentration camps, that's another name for them. Concentration villages, hamlets, resettlement villages, whatever. They've got lots of different names for it, but it's the same thing.
That's
They
correct.
uproot the people, put them in new places, and they make the people dependent on a food supply from the government. If they're not obedient, they do not get fed. The people can no longer feed themselves except with the permission of the government. And they have nothing left to feed the rebels. So that's one of the things that we see happening at the minute with the weird things that are happening with farming, for example. The way that farming is being bought up by sort of venture capitalists such as BlackRock and what do they call it, State Street and all these sort of people.
Bill Gates is another one. But
they're driving the small farms out of business with a whole load of different mechanisms, forcing them to sell now or to face huge tax in the future. You know, they're creating all sorts of incentives. There's one goal, you know, that basically if you don't comply, if you don't become part of the system, then you starve. And it's like Keir Starmer saying, you know, if you don't have digital ID, you can't work.
That's the thin end of the wedge, though, isn't it? Excuse me, sort of coming in, because you know I heard these smart Alex saying, "Well, I'm not going to apply. I'm just not going to have digital ID, but the government are going to make it where you will have no choice at all to survive."
They're trying. They're trying.
Yeah.
So there are lots of other things. One of the things that we should pay attention to is something called One Sign-In. So this is a system where to be able to pay your rates or organize anything to fulfill the various duties that you have, to pay the charges, to do anything that you want, you've got to engage with this thing called One Sign-In, which of course is just the online version of digital ID. It's exactly the same thing. But that's of course where we're going. They want to know who we are to track us. And of course, you know, it's also moving in the direction that to get online, you're going to have to verify your identity, verify your age, because after all, gosh, we don't want people reading unauthorized content that might not be suitable for their age, something political perhaps.
For the common good, of course. That's just where it's always
involved. For your own good, yes.
As I said today, I mean, I've had a lot of experience with psychopaths in my working life, and also I believe one married into my family. And what they do, the first thing they do is set up suspicion. Everybody's suspicious of each other. they start a rumour mill. So everybody has to prove what they're doing, how they're doing it, what they're doing, as if everybody is a naughty person, and they're being watched because this, and that's what they do. They set up that this atmosphere of suspicion, because as I was saying last night, once upon a time, if you wanted to open a bank account, or go along to a building society, open an account, you just went along, gave your name and address, that was it. And then your book would come along in a couple of days' time through the post, and there you are, you've got an account. Now they want to know the ins and outs of a nag's arse, excuse my language. And it's all distrust, as if you're a criminal. You walk into a shop. For your safety, we have cameras. Really. You're on the phone to a electric people or something like that. For training purposes, this call will be recorded. Bullshit. As if you say something naughty, And
the other one is, if we can't identify you, you can't pay your bill.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, gosh, it just ends up in a nightmare where if you can't prove who you are to their satisfaction, they won't let you do the things that they want you to do. Even, of course, they charge you more if you can't pay in time because you couldn't identify yourself because you.
But I mean, what I do, I often look on YouTube at things of about 40 years ago. So we're going back to the 80s, say 40 years, or maybe 50 years. That'd be the 70s, when you saw how much freedom people had then. I mean, in the 1990s, when I was working down in London, it was a very high. We had to. What do you call it? There was a deadline on this project, so I worked weekends, and on a Saturday or a Sunday, I would actually drive down. And can you imagine doing that now? I used to just drive into the city of London, park up in luckily the place had a place where I could park. I parked up and then drove home. And
I remember how nice London used to be at the weekends. God, it was amazing. I mean, I can remember cycling around London on a Sunday, and gosh, what a pleasant place it used to be. But now, no, it's and all hedged around with restrictions and
the signs everywhere telling you what not to do, what to do. And the other thing, I think, is it down Canterbury Cathedral? I think it is. They got graffiti now up the wall, which they approve of. A bloke dressed in a lady's frock actually did it.
Yeah,
the Church of England. I mean, I'm sorry that
it's more real. Apparently, that makes it more real.
Yeah,
it has a real direct connection with something.
Well, I'd give him a pail of water and a scrubbing brush and say, scrub that off immediately, and you're not going to leave here until you do. Get the whole thing up. I mean, children paint on walls. I mean, hundreds of years of craftsmanship been ruined by that. I'm fuming about it, because I do love the architecture of cathedrals.
It's sticking two fingers up at all of us, isn't it?
It is. But I like now Alice Gorgeous has said, what is your proposed solution, Nathan? I guess you're coming to that possibly a little later, what I suspect.
Well, let's get to it. I'm really glad you asked. So this really is the problem. So as you realise, I've been working on this for a long time. I've been trying to work on people. Unfortunately, this is not a quick thing. I know a lot of people want easy answers. And this is where it's going to get, unfortunately, rather uncomfortable for a lot of people. So what people think is, we can have a march and we'll protest and the government will see how many people are angry and that'll be that. Well, so there have been lots of protests of millions of people. Can you remember how many people protested against the invasion of Iraq?
Yes.
It said that perhaps 2.5 million people came to London for a protest. And what happened? I just went ahead. And then, was it 2021? There was the protest against the lockdown. So something like 3 successive months, there were protests of over 1 million people in London, marches of over 1 million people. And what effect did that have on the government? Nothing. You know, there might have been this protest on Saturday, and on Monday, the civil servants went back to work as normal. So protest has an effect. It's a rally. You know, it's where the opposition get together. It's for your morale. It's good. It's encouragement. But I don't think we should kid ourselves that this actually affects the government.
Doesn't. Well, actually, it's begging the slave masters. That's the way I look on it. We're the slaves. We're saying, please, Mr. Slave Master, will you take notice of this? You know, can we have one thread of the whip taken off or something like that? No, we should be in a situation where we say jump and the government says how high. It should be the other way around because we outnumber them.
So the problem is we've allowed this thing to grow, and now it's very difficult to take back control. It's like we've been feeding a monster for a very long time. In fact, even 30 years ago, we were in a desperate situation, and now we're in a very, very bad situation. So I'm going to propose a series of things which are long-term solutions, and you're going to say, well, where's the short-term answer to the immediate crisis? So what I'm going to start by telling people is don't cooperate. Right? And I know this is going to sound a bit wishy-washy. Come on, be specific. But it's very hard to anticipate at the moment what's actually going to happen in the enactment of this, where we will actually meet the direct confrontation. But you have to start. For most people, the first thing is getting their head in the right place, starting to adjust their attitudes. So I think one of the things we're going to have to get our ideas around is that although we might want the majority of the population or millions of people to join us, history seems to show that it takes a long time for people to come around to this sort of idea. You know, that at first people are somewhat sluggish and reticent and embarrassed, and they just want to do the conventional thing. So what we have to do is find like-minded people. Now, I think the best way to find like-minded people is amongst people you already know and trust. I mean, it's good if you can find people online, or if you have other means of recruitment, that's very nice. Perhaps you could put up. I'm going to suggest doing things the old-fashioned way, because I'm just not very comfortable with what happens on the internet. I just don't think that, can you find followers on Facebook? No, I just don't you think that's using the enemy's system?
Well, let's face it. Facebook is just basically a listening post, and I think it's Johnny Carusi said, and protests these days are data harvest for the state. And he was spot on. And that's the thing. There's this new idea out where you can send, what was it called now? Where you don't use the internet. It's a messaging system which uses radio. It's a bit like the old CD or whatever they call it. But you actually tap in a text message, and it's done and it's very difficult for the government to track it down, apparently. But I think also we've got to look at it. People might even go back to using carrier pigeons. Seriously.
So,
But if but
as somebody who has actually been had their phone tapped in the past, sorry, it makes me astonished to have to talk this way, because everything I've done in my life has been peaceful and legal. By the way, I'm going to emphasize this before we start anything else. What we're trying to do is constructive. That's the only way forward. And that means being peaceful and legal. We don't have anything to do with violence or unlawfulness. Now, of course, we're in a strange situation at the minute where the law's changing so fast that who knows what's legal anymore. But you know what I'm trying to say here.
I know exactly what you said, because
we're trying to build something constructive.
You're going down to the route because that's what they want. They thrive on it, you know.
So if we're disorderly, if we're criminals, this is actually disruptive to ourselves. You know, what we need to do is build an alternative society, build an alternative economy. To build things like this, you actually have to be extremely disciplined, trustworthy, and constructive.
Yeah.
So let's get this very clear right from the start. You know, we are not terrorists. The government finances terrorism.
Correct.
All this thing about the suspicion of financing terrorism and money laundering and all the rest of it, that's just a system of control. We know who finances, for example, ISIS, ISIL, because, well, it all came out, didn't it? In, say, for example, the Hillary Clinton's emails, for example.
That's right, controlled opposition.
Yeah,
But by the way, good evening, Paul. Paul English is online here.
Oh, great. So basically, whatever they might say, we're, you know, respectable, constructive people. We're actually trying to go back to something before this social revolution that they forced upon us. And anyway, trust is a very important part of building a movement. Historically, this has always been so. So one of the things that I'm going to draw upon, there's an American professor of sociology, I think it's Mary Corrigal Brown, wrote a book called What Comes After the March. And so she's trying to talk about social movements and the very substantially what's the difference between successful and unsuccessful movements. So, you know, there's been some research out there, and I suggest people try to look into it and understand what works and what doesn't work. No, I mean, clearly we've got other historical examples of, say, for example, what happened in the 19th century. But let's just have a look at something more recent, perhaps more immediate and more relevant to our current context. And although all of this internet recruitment's great for numbers of millions of people, in terms of people who actually get involved, there's nothing better than people who know each other, it seems. So bringing along your friends and family. This is, you know, because ultimately people have to work together. So I know we create these systems like the internet. Cash is another system for dealing with people that you don't know. But ultimately, we're going to get far more done working with people we do know. So we're not looking for quantity, we're looking for quality. So the example that I'm going to come back to is a 19th century one, the Rochdale Pioneers, the first co-op in Britain. So this was a relatively small group of people in about 1837. There was about 3 dozen of them got together, and they started this cooperative, this shop, so that they weren't dependent upon company stores, so that they got fair prices. Now, most of us will have seen that in British towns, there are these extremely impressive buildings, every village, every town, the co-op. And this movement by 1900, say about 60 years later, became really powerful. So it wasn't just that they were a shop, they owned farms, they owned woolen mills, they owned clothing factories, they owned furniture workshops. They were the whole supply chain, never mind just the shop. And they employed tens of thousands of people. And of course, millions of people depended upon them. They were a very large part of people's lives. So what I'm coming to here is the system that we've got today, the system of government, is a betrayal of everything that we want a government to be. It's a betrayal of the social contract. It's a betrayal of the trust that people put in their government. And it's treasonous, ultimately. They're traitors. Their loyalty is not to us, but to somebody else. They've dismantled everything that we used to trust in our society, like the judiciary, the medical profession, teachers. Now, how are we going?
Weren't they? They were the bedrock. We were brought up with it. I mean, for example, sorry, I didn't mean to chime in there, but I was going to say, for example, I often look at old films and things from about 40, 50 years ago, and things seem to be efficient and reliable. Even though they had computers, you could rely on something, and it was none of this sort of suspicion. You were suspicious of this, suspicion of that, and all that. You could walk down the road freely. And some little things I've noticed, for example, when I was a kid, you probably remember this as well, the baker used to come along and he'd be whistling. He went about his work. The milkman used to whistle and hum or sing. They were happy. And there was a little oil shop not far from where I lived. I know it sounds like looking at the past with rose-coloured spectacles, but the bloke in there was always crack a joke, always have a laugh. And people...
I'm going to agree that, I knew people at the shops. It was a human thing.
Yes, and I'll tell you something else. You look at, I said this last night, Fitzlane's Metropolis, that scene with the workers all walking along like this solemn.
Robots.
That's a little bit of an exaggeration about where I live now. I'm working on my fence at the front, my front garden. It's a bit like the sort of, it's a major project, the Fockham Hall mansion. No, it's a semi. And it is a major project for me, you see. And neighbours, where 5 years ago, they'd say, "Oh, hello, lovely day." They just walk past. Like this.
Yeah.
Have you noticed
that? So that whole lockdown thing has had a lasting effect on people's psychology.
They look as if they've just been sentenced to 10 years in Alcatraz. That sort of, what's wrong?
So anyway, it took a long time to get into this situation. The digital ID system has been gestating for 30 years. I would say if you were to look at this in total, you'd go back to, say, 1960. Really, this took decades to build. They've destroyed all of the institutions of our society. Somehow we're going to have to rebuild them, and that's not going to happen overnight. it's going to take decades. I mean, I'm not saying that we're going to take over the government, by the way, but we've got to build the replacement that we're going to use because we can't rely upon the government.
Well, no,
We're
no,
gonna
Are you
have to
sure
do
about
things for
that,
ourselves.
Nathan?
yeah.
So I think we can rely upon them to do us bad. You know,
Yes, but
I mean,
I think we can rely upon them tremendously to keep on keeping on with what they're keeping on with. I think we can rely 100%
Oh, yes.
on that.
They are brilliant at treason, and this is what Hatchie
I
Hatchie
committed
said.
to
Tony
it.
Blair changed treason laws. I won't FMS.
To
When
exempt
we
himself.
when do we
Yeah.
wake up? And
Isn't it-
yes, he changed it in 1997 from hanging to life imprisonment. He changed. The
Isn't
law.
it treason to change the treason laws, though?
It is, and he's,
Yeah.
he's
So he
not
changed the
involved.
treason.
He
He's not
changed the
involved.
treason laws. He changed the treason laws from betraying the country to solely an attack upon the person of the monarch. That's the difference between treason as it used to be, you know, attacking the country, betraying its values, trying to undermine our society, you know, to betray us to a foreign enemy, which is really treason,
Yeah.
to just, trying to kill a king.
When they say they've changed a law or introduced one, where does the problem actually lie? It's not in I don't think it's in the fact that Blair uttered this crap. That's not the problem. The problem is that millions of middlemen go along with it. There's no revolt, as it were, at the time from the police force, the judiciary. Nobody says, no, you're not doing that. Nobody that has some kind of a reinforced voice by their position in, say, a power center, whichever one you might think of, opposes this stuff. It just rolls through and it becomes assumed, as all authority is.
Can I give you a better example? Can I give you a more extreme example, which I think, you know, should be closer in our minds? What about killing people? So a really good example would be the Gosport Memorial Hospital scandal. So there was a doctor, a woman doctor, in fact, let's be specific about this, a particular woman doctor who did a Harold Shipman. She decided she was going to kill patients. Now, it probably wasn't her idea, actually, because she was supervised by a consultant, but he died. So anyway, this woman didn't kill the patients herself. She gave orders to kill them. And so she ordered nurses to administer lethal injections to these patients. Now, the report was issued by the Bishop of Chichester. He headed the inquiry into this scandal. And I saw him interviewed on Channel 4 News. And he said, the problem isn't one person. It's that so many people went along with these orders. The nurses who administered the injections, knowing that they were legal, knowing that they were going to kill they were going to kill the patients, having killed patients this way before and doing it again, knowing that that's what it would do, that the pharmacy in the hospital dispensed these injections, knowing that they were lethal, that there was a whole chain of people involved in this, doing this, watching this, and everybody allowed it to go through.
Milgram
because
experiment.
people obey orders. Yeah,
Have you seen
exactly
Milgram?
that.
That's the Milgram. I saw that when I was at college, the Milgram experiment, not the film of it. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Please, if you've got Google, look up the Milgram experiment. And do you think I need to explain it again? think people know in
I
chat.
think
Very,
people
very
know.
true.
It's the same as
Yeah.
Stockholm syndrome and all these things.
Mm.
Basically, people align with where they perceive the power is that could do them harm if they run counter to it. And because
Correct.
everybody
But
is
just a moment. Can I just make a couple other points here? So this system has been reinforced. So what would happen in a hospital system is people who don't obey these orders get sacked, right? So the only people who are left are the ones who will do this stuff. And then what do we see during the COVID crisis? Effectively, we're seeing lethal injections again, and people carry on doing it. So the worst thing is the public go along with it. We've all seen that video of people queuing up for their COVID jab. And then there's an ambulance sort of carrying out the victim who's already died from the injection.
Yeah,
and this doesn't stop the others from going in.
But we're on YouTube.
And the doctor,
be a bit careful. Sorry.
Yeah, but the doctors keep on doing it, and the patients still queue.
Have you seen the one in Canada where they're all queuing up and there's a bloke on a stretcher being wheeled out going like this? They're sort of going, looking around, they're still queuing.
Yeah.
I got a film from today. Somewhere in England, I don't know where it was. I couldn't make it out on the footage. A long queue, about 150 yards, people going for their booster shots.
Yeah.
These people are actually nice, decent people, but they're making the most horrific decision because I don't think they know how to make decisions. I mean, it doesn't matter how far we break it down. Basically, when that thing came up, you either instantaneously knew it was sick and evil and went, no, never, which is what my response was, or you went, no, the government's right. It's like literally a black and white decision. And huge numbers of people are I was thinking COVID compliance syndrome, CCS. You have to come up with new names for it. We're talking about the same thing. It's always about this thing, as you were saying, Nathan. They fear authority, so they comply with it because of the punishments they perceive they're going to receive. And that's preferable to them not killing people.
So I think we've got several complex psychological phenomena happening at the same time here. So one of them is bystander effect. And that is everyone standing there waiting for somebody else to be the first. And the more people you have watching, the less likely it is that anyone will come forward and be the first.
Yes.
And of course, one of these things about bystander effect and Stockholm syndrome and all the rest of it, Stockholm syndrome is where, of course, people come to love their abuser. The thing about all of this is that psychopaths instinctively understand and harness all of this. And we have a government of psychopaths. This is effectively globalism seems to be the nation of psychopaths. This is what their loyalty is. This is the creed that they're loyal to.
I agree. I agree with you. That's our enemy, though. The psychopath is our enemy.
That's our enemy.
What race, religion, or whatever it is, but not all. Only the predatory types who kill humans. But Alice has come up with a good one. She said the ID card failed under Blair because of human rights breaches. We have to use the tools at our disposal. Law.
No, I'm afraid she's wrong. I wish she was right, by the way, or well, I don't know. I don't really care about human rights law in a sense because all law is just a vehicle for their power. That's how it's become today. No, there was a sort of a campaign, and in the 2010 election, there was a promise that the ID card legislation would be repealed. So they made the appearance of repealing the legislation, but people don't really understand what the ID card system is about. And they seem to think that it was about having to present a card or being issued with a card. So in countries where national ID cards are mandatory. I'll give you two examples, Finland and Belgium. Less than 20% of the population have a state-issued ID card, because so many other cards fulfill the function. So it's like a bank card, also performs the function in many cases. So a lot of people don't, even where ID cards are mandatory, don't have an ID card. And this is the situation that we've got into in Britain. Sure, the government did not issue, it stopped planning to issue a state ID card. But then things like our mobile phones perform the function of ID cards. So one of the things you have to, I think I explained this when I was on 2 weeks ago. So there's this process of creating the ID card system. It started with this treaty in 1994. The year after, in 1995, there was a European conference in Brussels, and they kicked the machinery off. It goes beyond just creating ID cards. So part of this GATS treaty was creating student loans. And they had to create the whole system of creating student debt, identifying people to get the student debt, and to have an ID system to be able to track people, and so they couldn't run away from their debts.
Well, can I just chime in here, because we're welcoming the bowler hat farmer. Good evening.
Good evening. Good to meet you.
We can't hear you.
Splendid.
Yes. Is this a mime act? We can't hear you. We can't hear you. Unmute your mic. Sort of. No, we can't hear you.
It's a nice hat, though.
Yeah, it's a nice hat. We can say rude things about him, and he won't be able to reply, can't we?
Oh, well, anyway, we were just mentioning earlier.
Mike's been moved.
That's better.
Oh, that's better. Hello. Hello. And before we go any further, I don't know if you saw the beginning of this. Keir Starmer sent us, Sir Keir Starmer, the best part of him. Here it is. The best part of Keir Starmer. Here we are. He gets rid of the best part of him every day. It's not real, I hasten to add.
Is that Ukrainian flavoured?
Anyway,
so one of the things I mentioned earlier is, at the minute we've got effectively a foreign occupation government. And one of the things when you've got a foreign occupation, when they want to suppress the resistance, they separate the people from the food and make it so that you can only eat if you cooperate with the government. So, for example, when the British occupied Malaysia and when the Americans occupied Vietnam, they forced all of the people into concentration villages. They moved them from where they live, put them in another place, reduced their ability to harvest the food, definitely reduced their ability to feed the rebels. And it looks like that's what's happening now. But effectively, they're whoa, it makes me seasick. It makes it really difficult for anyone to obtain food except through the government system.
Well, by the way, Nathan, you haven't met bowler hat farmer Nathan, and we've also got Paul English on the line as well.
Hi, Mr. Bowler Hat.
Hello, young man. How the devil are we, sir?
Yeah, I like the young. This is good. I like you even more now, even more than just the hat. So this is good. Great hat.
It's good to see you again. Well, to hear you again anyway.
You too.
Apologies for chiming in earlier. I'm sorry about that, gentlemen. I'll stand back now. Slap wrist. So
I think you're absolutely right on what you just said. You know, if you understand that we are an occupied country at present, everything else then suddenly makes sense, doesn't it? And it's not until you look at history, and history's great at repeating itself. You know, my partner Gloria and I, we've just come back from a 7-month tour around the UK. So we left in February. We toured the UK, visiting farmers, doing speeches in community centres, church halls, anywhere what would have us basically. And we spoke in front of 20,000 people over the course of the 7 months, did 109 different talks and interviews. And you start to understand what is actually going on and how other people's perception of what's going on is very different to what is really going on. And if you look at how in Russia and in China, in the past they've used on large scale, the way to suppress the people is always through hunger. You'll do what you're told, and you know, or you won't eat. And that's exactly where we are. And the public at this point, whilst they realise there's a war on farmers, and they realise that there's we're going to have digital ID, and they see all the different bits, but they're struggling to put it all together. And that's one of the things which I think, for me, is the key of all of this, is now bringing the information together and getting people to understand what comes next. Because if they understand what comes next, they can start working it out backwardly and putting the dots together on just where we actually are.
Yeah.
I agree.
Can I tell you what I've been doing over the weekend?
Go on.
Because it dovetails into what you're talking about. Well, you know, if you think about the information that we talk about here, if you go up to somebody who you don't know and go off on the concentrated orange juice version of it, most people, you're going to lose their attention within 5 to 10 seconds. It's the implications of what we're saying are so disconcerting that you have to really see it from their point of view. But what I started talking about this last week, and over the weekend I managed to do a bit more on the ground work. I'm talking to my neighbours, literally, you know, face to face. In fact, literally the one next to me over the fence on Saturday morning. I had a great chat with him and a couple of others during the afternoon, because we were burning a lot of wood in my garden, and it was a perfect day to burn it. The wood was so dry, there was no smoke. I didn't upset any neighbours. We got through a lot of stuff that we'd been cutting down over the summer. And what I'm saying to them is I can't go in and say all the heavy stuff, but I'm just starting conversations and going, what do you think about this ID thing? That's just you know, in really gentle way. Not so, what do you think about this ID thing? You happy about it? And they go, no. Everybody I've spoken to, is about half a dozen so far. I've got a little cul-de-sac that I live in and 2 sort of adjoining streets, which come to about 80 houses. And I'm going to speak to all of them over the next month or so. At least that's my aim, or as many as I can see and knock on the door. Many of them know me because I've walked around here for 25 years, right? I walk around the streets and we wave and we say hello and all this kind of stuff. And then what I'm saying to them, I said, I don't want you to think I'm paranoid or anything, but do you think it'd be pretty cool if we could sort of like support a local farmer and get food from them? I've spoken to 6 people so far and they all went, yeah, count me in. I'm just trying to start off with something gentle, because if we can get people focused on a constructive thing, this is my take on it,
I agree,
that seems to make sense. I can introduce the other stuff possibly in due course. I might not even be able to do that, but there's no harm, there's no negative in what I'm suggesting. I'm saying, look, if we could find a couple of farms around here, one to supply us with the meat, the chicken and the beef, and something with the other stuff that we need, and we get close with them, I said, we might even get better prices. I said, I'm not guaranteeing that, but we set up a little group and people are yearning to connect up, a bit like the co-op, you know, that Nathan, that you were addressing, that spirit of things. It's literally a garden fence communication, and it works. I'm telling you, I haven't done much of it, but I know it's going to work because it's just the response is good. People are thinking about this. They are concerned about it. And the bystander syndrome's strong. They're waiting for somebody else, in this case, me, to open their gob and get the conversation flowing. And that's really all it takes. Everybody's got to find that little bit of courage, or whatever you think it is. It's not for me, it's not courage. I've cold called people for years on the telephone and stuff. I can just walk up to anybody really and just say, hello, you know, and let's get a conversation. It's not a big deal, but the response is good. And I'm thinking, right, if I can get this little enclave, if we get 10 or 15 houses out of 80 that want to do something and we get it going, then I think it's a really constructive step. And I've said to all of them, I said, by the way, I said, it's not about me doing it all. I said, I'm happy to do some. I said, but if it all falls on one person, whether it's me or someone else, it'll fail. I said, everybody's got to be willing to put energy into it. It's you I want.
Yeah.
That I don't say that.
It's important to look for people that you can work with, people who want to work with you.
Yeah,
that's one of the key planks.
Absolutely. All you need is a little bit of energy coming back. I do anyway, a little bit of energy and a sort of smile. And they go, hey, and my neighbor, he said, I think that's a great idea. Yeah. Get back to me, will you? I went, cool. That I only need one person around me to say something like that, and my energy's gone up tenfold. It literally is like that, because you suddenly go, right, it's here, it's later. We've got to make it
Can
manifest.
I just interrupt again? Can I hear a bit more from the farmers around the country? What did they say to you? You've been around the country, done all this research. What did you find?
Interestingly, so my biggest two things I wanted to know when I left home was, one, where are all the farmers in, what's going on? Because we understand there's an agenda against them, but where are they in all of this? Two things came out of that. One, they are slowly waking up to the agenda, that's for sure. And for them, what's bringing the dots together is the shit what's coming down from the skies is killing the soil. They know that they've got an agenda on to get rid of dairy and animals. So they're starting to picture it all together. But the biggest thing what came out of it for me from the farming community was that they realised they've got to change how they're farming. Otherwise, they're sitting in the land of insanity, because if you keep doing what you've always done, you always get what you've always got. We know that. That's insanity. So I say to farmers, look, you keep moaning you're not earning any money, but you're growing wheat, barley, sugar beet, oats, maize and rapeseed. They're not food. They're commodity crops that you sell to a supplier that produces shit to sell in the supermarket. Let's go back to producing food that you can sell direct to the public, and suddenly the profit on your land goes from minus £100 an acre to 10, 20, 30,000 pounds an acre. And that's the difference. So getting the farmers to understand the transitional shift they need to make from big chemical farming coming across to chemical-free, organic on that scale farming, then talking to the public, and the public are desperate, and I mean desperate, to deal directly with the farmer, and they want better quality food. So as I've travelled the country and I'm saying to farmers, look, you're telling me this and the public's telling me that, the two are the same thing. What we need to do is cut out the supermarket supply chain fundamentally. And if that's a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year transitions for farmers to make, then let's start on that road. Let's put 5 acres of your farm into growing vegetables and getting some animals back on it. Then 10 acres, 50 acres, 100 acres, whatever acreage you've got. So for me, the biggest, we travelled the country in 7 months, and in 7 months we lived completely on other people's kindness. And in 7 months, despite, I'm very much a white Englishman, my partner is very much a black Nigerian, despite our creed or colour, and Gloria is very religious on the Christian side. I've always said I'm not religious. However, what I will say is that I've found my faith while I've been away, and that's a really important thing for me, because I don't buy into religion. Religion's a tax implication, but I buy God and I buy I buy God and I buy faith, but I don't buy religion. So for me, to go around the country and travel for 7 months, and everyone said, "Oh, you're doing God's work," so I haven't seen it like that. I've just seen I'm on a mission. But really and truthfully, when you think back, hundreds and hundreds, 1,000 years ago, people would have gone, whether they were talking about the gospel or whatever, they would have just gone off and spoke about it and lived on people's kindness to travel around the world. And that's exactly what we did for 7 months. And for 7 months, we didn't buy ourselves hardly any meals. We didn't really pay for any accommodation. We just lived at other people's expense. And that sounds a bit freeloaderish, I know, but as far as they were concerned, we were genuinely out there doing good work. So they wanted to support us. And I think for me, that was the beauty of all of this, was that we achieved the 7 months, but we achieved it with people giving up about what we were doing. And that to me was more important than talking in front of one person or 100 people a night, I didn't really care. What I did care about was they were there for the right reason. And people have seen this as, if we don't change where we are in the next few years, we're done. So they're starting to understand, well, how do we work with farmers? The farmers are starting to say, how do we work with the public? So I think we're in for some, if people can organise themselves, and we've set up a community interest company to help achieve that. So we've set that up to start looking at getting volunteers on board for community-based projects on different farms across the country. I hope the next stage for this is that we can start to deliver on that, and then we can start to really make sure there is still food on the table in 5 years' time. Because as we're going with the farming world as it is, we're in trouble. So change has got to come.
Spot
if
on.
I may say, I hope this doesn't sound like a record with a crack in it, but co-ops. So in the past, where we've seen farmers be able to sell their goods and get a good price, co-ops have been the crucial ingredient. The farmers have a co-op, they sell their goods collectively. This is effectively what Cargill and all these other big corporations do. They're the middleman. They buy everything from the farmers and then they sell it to the public, and they dominate the profits. And somehow you've got to have something else to. Now, one of the other things I've seen is you can get cooperatives on the high streets, where, for example, a collection of shops will have a co-op, and they will consolidate certain services between each other for their mutual benefit. Anyway, the point I'm coming to is businesses can have co-ops. It doesn't have to be like the co-op that we know and love and used to have.
Well, that's a good idea. Scooby coming in. Rocky Road to Love 17 says something interesting. Victor Rothschild, 3rd Baron Rothschild, the British peer scientist and member of the Rothschild banking family, advocated for compulsory pasteurisation of milk in the UK in a 1946 speech to HOLS. Now, EXO has come back, and you'll be able to answer this. Well, these days, pasteurisation is stupid, but back in the 1900s in London, cows were riddled with malnutrition and disease, so it was probably a good temporary measure. Yes, and Hachi has said, co-op, good idea. Unfortunately, my local is everything we're against. Yes, unfortunately.
Yes.
Yes. Did you come across what I call home county syndrome, Mike? Mark, when you went round the, did you find a different attitude in the home counties to the rest of Great Britain?
Do you know what? It's interesting. We travelled different parts. We literally did Land's End to John O'Groats. So it was interesting to travel to different parts of the country and see how it was. Now, what I will say is, in the what I'm going to do is the West Country, their food systems are a lot more resilient and a lot better quality than the rest of the country. I have to say, we live in East Anglia. East Anglia, we've got a desecrated soil. We've got no animals. We've got desecrated hedgerows. It's a real shit show where we are in East Anglia. Midlands, the people understand what the challenges are, but they're getting very much swamped in the commercialisation of everything. Scotland, very much still stand alone on their own independent food. Now, what I was going to say, I love the idea of co-ops, and I think, unfortunately, we now look at co-ops as a bad thing on the grounds of the co-op we see on the high street now has been commercialised, and that was never the intention of it. But a few people, obviously, who are very clever and financially stable, hoodwinked that along with every other supermarket idea along the way. And back on the pasteurisation of milk, Chris, they make a very good point on that, because when pasteurisation started, they took cows into London and then decided they were going to farm in the middle of a city, which obviously they had no grass and nothing good for them to eat. So they fed them on brewery waste and bakery waste. So, of course, the yeast extract and everything made the cows poorly. So they ended up, the milk was poor quality. So they pasteurised it. But they only needed to pasteurise it for the city. The raw milk was obviously one issue. But obviously, the Rothschilds wanted it pasteurised because it killed all the goodness in it. The minute it killed all the goodness in it, it made you it didn't keep you healthy. If you weren't healthy, they could make you ill. If you were ill, they could sell you something else. So we know why it was done and why they won't change it now. We travelled the entire country living on lots and lots of raw milk. We'd pull into farms and chat with them. And even if they didn't sell it, they did when we got there. So it was great. But I do think that the one of the things we've seen and what we're in the process of setting up with at the moment, we've identified 5 ways in which the country wants to buy food and buy more food as a result. And it seems to be that it's 1 on the home delivery side from small suppliers, 2 directly to food hubs, which food hubs are where, let's say 20, 30 people in a village will order in at the same time, and it's delivered to the church hall, the vicarage, the village hall, whatever it might be. They all come together, have a cup of tea, sort all out what they're having, and they go home again after they're having a talk about what's happening in the community. You then start looking at farm shops, farmers markets, community farms. We've got an organisation that wants to fund the setup of community farms, and I think that's going to be massive. Community farms is definitely the way forward. And I think more so than anything, what we need, and I've spoken to lots of farmers on this, is how we form a co-op of all the farmers for the farmers to launch their own supermarket chain, which is run directly in their own areas, on the high street, directly to the public. And I think that's the way forward. The problem is at the minute, the legislation is being stacked up so heavily against them trying to do that, that's going to be our issue.
And also, most of the farms where I am now, there's the last farm shop within walking distance of my house that's hanging on by its fingernails, but they're tenant farmers. And also where you can get raw milk from, they're tenant farmers as well. And it's just bureaucracy. The raw milk
and capital.
That's right. They had the government down there because one of the tests they had didn't pass properly, and they were actually not able to sell raw milk. I remember it for several months. How they kept it, I don't know.
And it's all bollocks. It's all bollocks. The lot of it.
Yeah.
We know this winter we're going to have an outbreak of bird flu, TB, and blue tongue. We know it's already booked. They've already got everything prepared for it. They've got the wood stacked up to burn the cows. They've got the vaccines for blue tongue. They're already starting to line the birds up for culling, and it's all bloody nonsense. How do they test them? With a PCR test, of all things. We know they're flawed. They've proved they're useless, honestly. And here they are, and here's DEFRA wanting to come in with...
They serve a purpose.
Sorry?
Those tests serve a purpose. It's not to find disease.
That's right. If you find what you're looking for, you can give them a vaccine. Imagine that. Or you cull the animals, and that's even more profitable.
So where we are, I live Consett, it's on the border of Northumberland and Durham. And we've got an animal control zone. They've got a huge burial site. The culling's already underway. It's been underway since spring. You probably know that, of course. But we see a lot of activity at this site. Sadly, it's a thing. It's happening. Why? Well,
we know why, because they want to get rid of the meat.
We know why.
Yes. Well, the 2000, was it 2000 or 2001? I think it was around about that time. The foot and mouth outbreak. The government were well prepared in advance with that one as well, and that put thousands of dairy
again
farmers
under a Labour government. Imagine.
Yes. Well, slap my thigh, isn't that amazing? But to me, it doesn't matter what the government is. They are the mob. It doesn't matter whether they're Conservative, Labour, or Uncle Tom Cobley and all.
Yeah.
They're just the mob. That's the
yeah.
But going back to what I found, Now, I'm the only one. I live in a cul-de-sac that I know that goes up to this farm and buys my eggs at this farm. Nobody else does. And I've had a word with my neighbours, and they say, "Oh, it's easy to go down the supermarket." Yeah,
I think that's going to change, though, Eric.
So do I.
I think that's going to. I think it has changed. I think this ongoing communication to find actions. It's the action box is starting to get filled in. All of the things that you said, Mark, all those 5 different options, I think they're all viable. Yeah. Because I don't know which one's really going to fly. There could be something really strange, some sort of cultural little thing that people go, oh, no, we really like this. I mean, the one that you described to me, I'm thinking, I don't know what you called it again, but the idea of a delivery to a local parish hall once a week. Well, that's what I'm thinking. I've got a parish hall 150 yards from where I'm sat, and that's what I'm thinking. That's what I need to do. And I'm seeing someone either tomorrow or Wednesday who's got a list of about 5 or 6 local farms around here that we can interact with, and I'm going to go out and see them and start. And I'm not looking for discounts or anything. I just want to get the lines of distribution in place first and go, can we do this? Will someone actually turn up and deliver it? Yeah, it's working. Great. And then we can bolt more people on. And you also create that community connection point. If, for example, there was a drop once a week and you go, yeah, it's going to be on Wednesday lunchtime or Saturday morning, because the whole family can come down and hang out with other people, and it's the attendant secondary conversations that are where the juice is going to happen, because people are going to be looking at one another going, this is good, yeah, and did you hear about this? And they get to connect, and it breaks that barrier down of speaking out a little bit more in public, because they've lost the pubs. Nobody talks. They're also, everything is being literally turned artificial. Yep. So creating a real space for real human beings to just let rip that's the bit that the other side are anxious about. Once we start talking and singing songs together around the piano, I'm just painting a metaphorical picture, but that spirit is what they don't want to see rise. And I think it's simple. An army fights on its food, and we are in a war.
Yeah.
No food for the army. It can't fight.
I don't know where in the country you are, but
I'm in West Sussex. West Sussex.
Okay. Well, we were down the other day at Gerrard's Cross on West London. And there's a young lady down there called Nat who runs a company called Organity, and they have got the most amazing system set up. They've got a centralized hub which is like on a farm, and lots of farmers bring it all there, and they've set up a distribution hub from there, what goes out and delivers to I think she's now got 9 community hubs, what she delivers out to around right up as far as Bedford and up as far as Dudley in Birmingham. And they've all got sort of 20, 30 customers that order on a weekly basis. They get all the orders together and deliver them in. Some of that stuff comes from their local area, from local farmers, and some of it comes in from different parts of the country, but all British, all organic, and that's the rule. So, and it's changing people's lives, because the minute you start getting good quality food, and I mean good quality food, meat what hasn't got all the shite pumped into it, and hormones, pesticides, and all the other nonsense what your body doesn't really require, and you start looking at that as a community health project as well. And everyone I was down there the other day, and we were down at the project, and they were people were coming there to collect their vegetables, and they were picking orders what were going on a van to different towns, and it was just such a buzz. And I was there, and I was like, I come away feeling really pissed off that I'd got to leave, and I was like, but I'm here, I'm part of the community, and it was like, wow, what a stay. So I'm definitely going to be working with them in the future, because that system for me. I've seen lots and lots of different ideas across the country with box schemes from farms, and they're all lovely, but there's no community, and it's the community what people are craving for, in my opinion. And I think that's where we get this to put this really back into a local community, is to bring, you bring back the vicar, and you bring back the headmistress, and you bring back the mum and dads who like to chat at the school gate, and you get them all around one table and say, listen, this is what we're doing, and we can do this together. And that's where the future sits. And I think for me, like you say, that's what worries them, is the fact if we start working together as a community, they're fucking had it, because we know they don't want that. It's not in their agenda for us to talk to each other. we've got to stay at home and stay in your 15-minute cities.
Well,
Yep.
most of these commies that put this out, they're city dwellers anyway.
Yeah.
And they don't understand anything about countryside. I mean, you look at the
They'll
Soviets.
start first.
They brought up in cities. They didn't know anything about the countryside. But I mean, for example, with yourself, I'd like to, the trouble is it's a 140-mile round trip. If I come up to your place and buy some vegetables and come back again, it's not particularly very economical. But the farm shop that I go to, that's Appleby Street Farm, plug. They don't sell vegetables. They said it's too much hassle. So they only sell eggs and sort of things like honey that people have produced. And they go to, Bridget's Farm in Hertfordshire? Have you heard of that? And Bridget's Butchery, sorry. And they get all their chickens from there, where they're not labelled organic, but they are.
Yeah.
Because it's too much bureaucracy to go
Well,
through the
I was
organic
just going to say, I mean, from my side, we're a veg growing farm ourselves, and I grow chemical-free food. I don't grow organic because, to use the word organic, I have to pay £500 a year to have a license to tell me that I've done what I've said I've done, and that someone else has certified I've done what I've said I've done. And do you know what? I reckon I know what I've done, and I'll keep me £500. So, the Soil Association have a lot to answer for.
Oh, yes.
As we've travelled the country, one of the things I've noticed is that lots of farmers organic farms have been saying, "Oh, we're organic. We've got the best soil in the world, and the soil's absolutely shite." Yes, it might be chemical free, but it's dead. They've got nothing. They can't grow anything unless they put nitrogen in of some description. So they say, but then we've been to some farms that are claiming they're not organic. They'll say, well, we're chemical free, but they've got the best soil in the land because they look after the soil. They're understanding the organic matter's got to go back in. They're understanding the mycelium's got to be produced. They're understanding that we've got to put bio in. They're understanding that if you produce good soil, the food's a byproduct. Good food's a byproduct of farming. Unfortunately, farmers think what they produce is the food. They don't. They produce good soil. What gives you good food?
You're spot on. And you go into a supermarket, what the problem is people are they're addicted to carbohydrates. They're carboholics. And I live in a cul-de-sac, and my neighbours, some of them are obese. Very few of them look fit. Why? Because they just go down the supermarket and it's all carbohydrates. And we need protein. We're designed to eat protein.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, do you know we're only designed to eat one meal a day? And and it used to be if you had more than 2 meals a day, you were considered a glutton. And guess who introduced 3 meals a day? It was in the Victorian and Edwardian times, and we have to go thank Mr. Rothschilds, because it's more money. The more people eat, the more money they get. And that's
well, you know why that was brought in, Chris, don't you? When Kellogg's brought in breakfast cereals, because they didn't know what else to do with the grain, so they produced breakfast cereals, cornflakes, and then as a result of that, they told people they needed 3 meals a day instead of 1. Well, of course they did, because they needed 3 meals to get the same nutrition as they got out of 1 meal.
Precisely.
Now,
and wheat is bad for you.
20 meals to get the amount of nutrition you actually need out of.
Spot on. And do you know, I've given up wheat.
There's animal feed.
Yeah. Well, wheat and sugar are the two evils. They're horrendous what they do to the human body. The insulin, I haven't got any insulin problems or anything like that, but it goes through the roof, and your body will eventually just break down. But they reckon that with wheat, now I'm not medically trained, I'm not a doctor or anything like that. So if anybody is medically trained, they probably think, well, I'm talking a load of crap, but this is second or third hand information that I've got from people that I've seen. And apparently it tears your intestines as it goes down, and what should go out in poo leaks into the rest of your body. Now, I may have got that wrong. I apologise if I have, but that's the way I understand it, and I could be wrong. But
Chris,
you got to be, yeah.
I don't know if you know this, but lots of people think they're intolerant to gluten. They'll say, "Oh, I can't eat bread because I'm gluten intolerant." They're not. If you use glyphosate, on wheat, it changes the protein value of the wheat. So what you end up with is being allergic to the protein change in the wheat. So people go, oh, I've eaten bread and I'm allergic to it. No, you're not. I guarantee you, if you have organic spelt bread, you can eat it. I guarantee it. I don't care who you are. I've never met anyone yet who couldn't eat it. The problem is the protein change caused by the glyphosate, what they use as the bloody weed killers on the farms. And that's the challenge what we now have in modern society. And then you understand when the glyphosate in it, why it's eating people's stomachs up, Chris.
Well, that's right. I mean, I'm not I'm not intolerant. I mean, I can eat anything, but they're going to put an addition into flour. It's going to become compulsory next year. And I can't think of the name of the bloody stuff. They're going to put it.
Folic acid.
Folic acid, yeah.
Folic acid, that's it. And apparently it can be carcinogenic.
Yeah.
But why are they
why do you think putting it in?
It will be, Eric, won't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
It will be carcinogenic. Yeah, that's why it's
That's right. And this is the thing. Oh, by the way, morning, Stig. He's in New Zealand. So Stig's in New Zealand there. So morning. No, the thing is that what they're putting in the foods, I mean, most of the food looks like a chemistry set. And I've got this idea now that I don't buy anything that's got ingredients in it. It's got ingredients I don't want to know.
That's the best way.
Yeah.
Raw everything.
I mean,
you can't go wrong.
There's so much work to do, but if we put it in a positive, there's so many opportunities here, actually. It's simply a matter of actually getting a little bit of momentum going and start off with one thing. If you look at the entire list, you'll get overwhelmed because at least you can look at every single area of the food system and go, that's been tampered with, that's buggered about with, this is not doing us any good. So if we can create, and I know we can, if we can create these little bundles of energy in local spaces, there'll be all sorts of people come out with their own knowledge sets. I know someone indirectly who's very knowledgeable about how to build a vegetable garden. Because I was thinking, I'll build a greenhouse. And I thought, what's the point of that? I don't even know what to put in it. I don't know where to put it. I don't know anything, right? I'm an absolute idiot when it comes to this stuff. But I'm quite happy to put my hand up and say, I don't know what I'm doing, but I want to do something. Anybody got any local knowledge? And those people absolutely exist. And it's a bit like, if we think about here with this radio thing, the classic radio show is Gardener's Question Time. Well, it's going to come back because we're all going to have to become gardeners, whether we're working with gardeners or whatever. We're going to have to do that. It's like Farmers for Freedom or whatever. We're going to have to come up with some tagline. It used to be Dig for Victory, didn't it, in World War II? But it doesn't really matter that everybody's really clear. I mean, it's an instantaneous reaction because you go, do you think you can go for 3 weeks without food? What are you talking about? Is immediately is an internal panic button. We've got to use that in our favor to galvanize and turn things around. And we have to act quickly, I think.
Johnny Siraki one, I'm terribly sorry if I pronounce that wrong, has said, one of the Kellogg's brothers ran a mental asylum and he thought too much meat caused the lower classes to be too sexually active. Enter the cereal foods.
A libido killer.
That's what's wrong with me then. Ha! I'm a carnivore.
Lay off the Weetabix.
But that's the thing. But the thing is, we do not know how to produce our own food. We've lost that skill. With the exception of yourself, Mark.
Just to give you an idea. So this new website we set up foodfindershub.org, and Chris and I spoke about this coming up for a year ago when we first launched it, and we've been in trialing with this. We've got nearly 400 farmers on there that all sell direct to the public. And the idea now is we've got the last bit to put in place this month, and then people can, we updated the site, and there's lots more aspects going on it. One is how we launch community farms, and that people can go on there as of next week and register their intention to want to volunteer somewhere, either on a farm or to help us on social media, promote things, help with fundraising. We're also going to have a land bank on there. So farmers who have got land that they want to rent, sell, whatever that might look like, they can advertise it on there for people to be able to apply to run a community project on their land. These are all the things. There's lots and lots of people out there in the background. Well, it's really easy to say, oh, my God, it's all doom and gloom. It's not. We travelled the entire country seeing some absolutely amazing projects, really amazing projects. And that was what inspired us to keep going on the tour, because it'd be really easy to go, oh my God, there's not going to be any farmers, there's not going to be any food. We might as well just give up and go home. And then suddenly you pull on a farm and they've got, raw milk stand at the farm gate, and they're selling raw milk, and they're selling about 250 litres a day. And, and then you go and they go, oh, we've got this, we've just had a cow kill, we've got fresh beef in the fridge and steak in the freezer, and we've got our own ice cream, and we're doing this. We've got, they were making soap and things out of wax and milk mixed, and just loads and loads of different things. What we've seen, just brilliant, brilliant concepts. And what we now need to do is bring that to the masses. That's where we need to now get the other farmers encouraged and to feel brave enough to make that step across to that style of farming. And it's really going backwards in farming 100 years. That's where we need to go. Come away from this big commercialism.
And also with foot and mouth. Now, I was listening to a late night phone in once. This is when the foot and mouth was about. And an elderly woman said that she came from a family of farmers. And she said the Edwardian farmers knew how to deal with it. It wasn't a big deal. And apparently they put the cattle that had foot and mouth into a barn full of onions. And the onions would soak up the disease.
Yeah.
She said it just was no big deal.
Well, it's like blue tongue. Blue tongue's just a cold.
Yeah.
They tell everyone there's this massive outbreak of this, deadly disease. It's like, so what's the worst case scenario? The worst case scenario is they sneeze. Okay. Why don't we let them sneeze for a few days and see what happens? Oh, hang on, we can't do that because they get over it. And then people will be fooled into believing it's not as such an issue as it really is. Bird flu, what is it? It's a fucking cold. It's flu. It's what it is on the tin.
I'm going to say something a bit outrageous now, but I actually think we need our own citizens' police force or force that are not aggressive, but to help to protect us against government thugs. Well, not government, I call them the mob, because when you look at the mafia and government, they're virtually the same.
Have you looked at what Cabby are doing, Chris?
Of what, sorry?
Have you looked at there's an organisation called Cabby, which is Community Assembly for the British Isles. I'm a member. They've got about 3,500 members across the country now, and they've got their own police force, which they take nearly 6 months to train up, and they train, and they're called community police officers. And what they do is they go out, if someone's got a bailiff on the doorstep or something like that, they go out and they'll challenge the police and actually pull the police to heel over the law. They know the law better than the police force do, and they are brilliant. And they're also putting in their own agricultural things in place. Really good organisation, worth looking at.
Well,
I think it's £5 to join.
Well, I know that there is the PACE, PACE officers.
Yeah, well, they are part of Cabby.
And there's also some Hells Angels, and the name escapes me. And as I said, I think on last night's show, they're the type of people we wouldn't want to meet down a dark alley, but because they are big. And what they're doing, and I think it's marvellous.
Is that the Shield?
I'm not sure, but they're really nice. It's
a guy called Chris Hargraves, isn't it?
I think it is. They're really, really nice people. So if a woman thinks she's about to be raped or a child feels their presence alone will put a rapist off.
Well, they've been visiting all the Turkish barbers and places like this where girls keep getting dragged into and go and have how should we say, a friendly word.
Yes. A nice word. It's a bit like when my mother's aunt had her child taken from her at the end of the war when things were chaotic. And both my father and my uncle had special training in the forces because they were part of frontline intelligence. So they had commando training and that type of thing, unarmed combat. And my uncle went down to see the people that had stolen her child and had a nice word with them. But by some means got her child back. And when he says by some means, I think you can. I think it was a case of you with a broken nose, give that child back. I ain't got a broken nose. Boom. Oh, there's a child. I think that might have been the case. But my uncle was like my father, a very peaceful person. But and I think that this is the trouble. We've got thugs in this country that are ruling us, and we don't need government. We need government like a hole in the head. We don't need them. What do we need government for? Because more people have been killed by governments than all the wars put together. They're lethal.
We definitely got to have a change, that's for sure.
Well, that's right.
I think
We
because
definitely-
so many of us are involved in not doing anything, that doing something, i.e. the food arena, will actually put government at a distance in terms of the amount of minutes a day that people spend worrying about it. Because all the fear produces nothing. We don't produce anything with the fear. We have to keep, I think, one eye half open to what they're up to. It's not difficult to do that now, is it? You're just swamped with the latest fear porn all the time. Climate change apparently is a real thing, according to everybody. It really exists, yeah. It really exists, don't you know? I mean, I came across something today, a report on Armstrong Economics. Yvette Cooper, just talking the most hilarious bilge. I mean, so they are, in a way, they're great objects of humor for us, but I think the idea of having a positive thing, the provision of food with your neighbors, is so colossally, fantastically good. It's the most important thing. It's the most important thing because it ticks every single box. It pulls people together. They get to talk. They're eating, hopefully, better, improved food. They take an interest in that. They have children. They go, the reason your children are going to get ill is because of all this shit that you're unfortunately going to have to put into them if you keep buying from the supermarkets.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be that way. And I'm addressing my own apathy here. This is what we're facing, is a sort of like, oh, but it's so convenient. They've got us with convenience on a sort of behavioral conditioning basis.
Yep.
And I'm definitely prone to that, but I'm less prone than I used to be. That's the goal. Hopefully tomorrow, even less prone, and keep chiseling away at it with others to develop these little connection points to do it. I mean, the idea that if farmers could supply me personally with chickens, eggs, and steaks, I'm away, because I think I could find a way to supply my own vegetables. And I'm going, well, you know about livestock, and I'm not a butcher, and I can't deal with offal, and I don't know how to slaughter a cow, but this is already established, and you guys do, and we want to rock up once a month. I want to buy £1,000 worth of steak off you for 80 houses, right? How many cows do we need? And to just get it, in other words, to get the logistics of it down, which I'm blind on right now, but it's not rocket science, is it? It's numbers. You go, we need this, we need that. You talk to someone, you go, we can't do it now, but in about 2 months' time, we can have, or whatever it is, we can have all that running for you. Cool. Great. We're away. And it's easy to build local community websites if that's what you want to do to connect people, or email groups, or whatever junk we want to use. The more that we build our own systems like that, the better, because all of the sort of social media stuff is them just, asset stripping it for data and sort of, oh, we know what they're doing now. We know what we're doing here. The other thing as well is if pressure comes to bear on these farmers, but we've managed to develop clutches of local community customer groups, those local groups can go up and defend that farm physically. I would. I go, you're not beating my farmer up. I need my steak from this guy. And if a lot of people just turn up and stand as an intermediary between the farm and whichever dickhead turns up who's on autopilot from the bureaucracy, they begin to get the message. And, I'm tapping into that thing that Solzhenitsyn said when he said, if only we'd have just hit a few of them over the head, so that when they went out in the nighttime, they were worried about whether they'd see their wife. I'm not advocating for this, by the way, but without that element, we need something like a physical presence, because you can bet your bottom dollar that's exactly what they're pushing for. They've got all that. They can't wait to unleash their trained thugs, to actually start bullying us some more. And I think we're less bullyable if we're in charge of our own food. I mean, you just are.
Bear in mind that the food is the thing what they're scaredest of all. Food is what brings everybody together. It doesn't matter black, white, Christian, Muslim, whatever it is. It brings everybody together. And if the people come together, what's going to happen? They'll all realise that they're not the enemy. We're not the enemy of each other. Black, white, Christian, Muslim doesn't matter. The enemy is...
Mark, I think your adventures have done absolutely that. It's been brilliant hearing it still is. I want to carry on talking. But you've really done that. You've actually been out there doing it. You've come back with an actual narrative of a thing that's happened, and your insights are precious. And they're all basic, aren't they? But it's because they're not known. people don't know that other people know this. Just go, look, get together. You're, oh yeah, actually, it's pretty important that we eat some food.
He's
That kind of
doing
stuff.
more than giving us insight. You're actually organising. He's actually helping to organise these things.
When I left home in February, I left home with a real doom and gloom attitude to, all the farmers are going to get turned off the land. We won't have any food. And I was doing an hour and a half talk about the doom and gloom. And after about 4 or 5 of these talks, the talk started to change because we were visiting really positive farmers and going to see really great things. And by the time we were about a month in, the talk completely changed to, these great ideas we can do, guys. And I think everyone knows where we are in the world at the moment is shit. We all accept that. But remember this, even when things are shit, it doesn't make you shit. You have to make a decision. Each one of us has to make a decision. Are we going to worry about how bad it is, or are we going to worry about trying to change things? And the more we listen to like say, Paul, the bloody BBC and all the other crap what's going on in the background, what we really need is just to concentrate on the focus on the really good stuff we can do and what we can do together, collectively as communities, and do it well. And that is what has them worried. And that's the bit they've got no control over.
Yeah,
You're
I
right.
agree with quite right.
Just ignore them out of existence.
You remove yourself from their demoralization gun. You're not in their sights. That's all they're doing is a massive demoralization process with all these anxious faces, these arseholes behind microphones on the BBC just banging on. They don't even know what they're saying, right? But they don't want to lose their job because they've got to pay their mortgage. That's all that's at the bottom of all of this. All these drone people, I got to pay my mortgage. You go, yeah, I understand that. So we can't even get drawn into that. We just have to build. We have to restore. And people like you, Mark, know what it is. And I'm going, well, I don't know anything about this, but I want to work. I want to work with people that want to work. I don't want to work with people that don't want to work, but if I find people that want to work on it, count me in, right? Because it needs a team effort. I'm seeing some guys, hopefully tomorrow night or Wednesday night, just local guys, to get this conversation going about all sorts of things. Some of them are, individual business owners. I want to know what they're thinking about with the ID stuff, because they're having to go at business owners first of you've got to get registered to get the whole of the ID thing going.
Well, yeah,
before the show started.
You know what that's about, don't you, Paul? At the end of the day, they're trying to do exactly what they did at the start of COVID. Fear factor everybody into the fact of, you don't have your jabs, you can't go on holiday. If you don't have your jabs, you kill Auntie Betty. All the nonsense what went on, and that's exactly where they're getting to with the ID. Yeah, they're trying to fear everybody into getting it, and it's like, feck off, I ain't going.
And I know why they've got. Why they've gone to business owners, because many of those business owners have got employees, so the culture of the business absorbs this ideology, and then the employees go, I suppose I better get one too. Yep. It's like a soft percolation through it. The Federation of Small Businesses. I don't know who heads it up. There's 500,000 businesses in that. Now, whoever heads it up should be going, hey, all our members say, stick it up your ass. And it'd stop. If you it's like the middle management, the independent businesses are amazing because these are individuals or little family businesses or clusters of keen young people who've said, sod this lark of having a job, let's give it a go. They're willing to give it a go and make an attempt to build something. That's the spirit that is required, and it's in abundance.
I agree.
It's dormant. It's dormant, and food is going to light the fuse whether they like it or not.
Yeah.
It's absolutely going to light the fuse whether they like it or not, because we've all got to eat. As you were saying earlier, this is how Mao and all these other shitbags kill millions of people by slowly, it's that thing, what's that thing about trapping sheep? Where they say, you want to catch some pigs in a field. Well, what you do is they're wild and they're running around. So you just put a fence up on one side of the field and you leave it for a few weeks and they get used to it. And then you put a fence up on the second side and they get a bit split and they're fine with that. And then you put it on the third and they're still wandering in. And last day they walk in, you build a final bit of fence and they're done for. And that's really what they're doing here.
Yeah.
That's
exactly
really a negative attracts negative, positive attracts positive. And this is why we're having fear, doom and gloom. I mean, as I said earlier about my neighbours, that you see them walking along, and they look, as I say, as if they've just. My old granddad used to say, "Was it lost tuppence and found a penny?" Sort of really miserable. And and this is the thing, we got to brighten things up. Happy days are here again, and that type of thing, because we've got to, as I often said, have a laugh. We've got to laugh at these comedians in power, but they can stick their regulations up their jacksie. And remember, we outnumber them. And if we have a huge, and I'm talking about a huge PACE force, what will they do? What can they do? Nothing. Because
particularly a well-fed one, Eric.
yes,
If we
So
got a
ultimately-
police force that's eating really great food, physically those guys are going to have more energy. They're going to have cleaner eyes. They're going to be quicker. They're going to be stronger. They won't get ill. They don't need to buy bloody drugs from the shit bags. All of these things, they're all interrelated. There's literally not one bit. It either pushes against us or it goes for us. And we've got to go for everything that supports us. Every single thing. You can just look at it, you go, that's a positive. It all counts. Every single thing that every individual could do. Like I've said before, you have a meeting. Well, all I can do is wash up the dishes. Do it. It's fantastic. We need someone to do that. And you're participating. Now the group's one person bigger. Great. This is what we want. So.
Well,
Ultimately, their system is going to collapse. It's already collapsing.
Yeah.
It's got an expiry date. We can see it already. And this is why they're doing more and more desperate stuff. And the further they go down this road, the more they kill everything. They're destroying all of the creativity, everything that's, gives energy to society as they inject more control. It's like the joke about, I shouldn't say this. I won't mention the racial right. The Irishman and the donkey. So anyway, this Irishman's got a donkey and he decides he can't afford to feed it. So what he's going to do, he's going to train it to live on less and less food. So he's telling his mate how it's going. Oh, it's going great. It's going great. Anyway, one day he talked to his mate. Oh, it's terrible. I put all that effort into that donkey. I trained it and I trained it. And when I'd finally trained it to live on nothing at all, the damn thing died. And so, it's like that. They're squeezing every bit of life out of society. And this, of course it's going to collapse. There's going to be nothing left. People are going to have nothing to live for. No joy, no creativity. We can already see it. Look,
to them, Nathan, we can give them something to live for.
Sure.
We and many others. We can. We're doing it right now.
Yeah,
we're doing it right now. You might go, it's only a little thing, but it's bigger than it was last week. That's the thing. Just keep pushing and pushing. What else are we going to do? We're going to kill you now. I'm going to go, stick it up your ass, and I'm just going to have a pint of beer before you do it, mate.
You had a good idea, Paul. Was it a community of people buy a cow? And a dead one, and they sort of, right, you'll have a leg here. At least 4 people get a leg each, And when you look at it from an accountancy point of view, you could probably get the meat very, very cheap.
We just need to know, don't we? I don't know. I don't have that information. Here's a sort of little side story. I've got a really good friend who lives in Idaho, North Idaho. And it's in a fantastic place where they live, and they get bears and all this kind of stuff, right? So North Idaho is the size of England, but with 1.5 million people in it, right? Just to give you an idea. And it's warmer than southern Idaho because of the Gulf Stream running up past Vancouver and all this kind of stuff, right? And they bought a cow. I think it was last year. They bought a whole cow. But this is the provenance of it. They knew it when it was born. It's in this. Their neighbor has got like a little herd that started off as a few, and about 15. They've all been grass fed. They've lived naturally. No injections, no vaccinations, nothing at all. They spent something like $5,000 on half of the cow, but at supermarket prices, it's $25,000 worth of steak. Yeah. Right. And they've frozen it all in a massive freezer, going to be able to eat for a long time. And I'm going, how cool is that? That you actually saw the cow get big, and the guy that's going to butcher it, and they've been doing it for years. There's something really encouraging about that. I don't think I've got much chance of actually participating in something like that here during my lifetime. Well, but it's a glimpse of more naturally about how it's supposed to be. You just go, oh yeah, that's the cow, and we're eating it, and boy, does it taste good. And it had a good life. You know, it was out in the fields for X number of years and it had a good life and everything. And people go, oh, you can't eat cows. I'm completely into eating cows. I think that they're great.
No,
Paul, there's
what happens to old dairy cows? I mean, there's a place, Delicious, another little plug there, for whether you sell the raw milk. What happens to their old cows? That sounds a bit rude, doesn't it? Where do the old cows go? I mean, do they slaughter them? I mean, do they go out to pasture? I don't know. I mean, do people eat them?
Of course
What
they do.
happens to the old dairy cows?
They do.
Oh,
They're not as good. The meat's obviously not like having a young heifer, but you know, you've got to think that there is lots of opportunities, Paul, in this country that a lot of people do buying groups on cows. There's I know a guy in Wales who's doing it at the moment, and you collectively buy into the fact that he's going to slaughter a cow on said date, and you buy 500 quid's worth of it, and 500 quid's worth rocks up at your door. You know, and I think we're going to see. I personally think we're going to see a huge change in our food supply chain. People are pissed off with supermarkets and the crap they're getting. Not everybody. But we don't need to save everybody. We just need to save those who want to come with us. You know, it's a bit like building the ark. They didn't build the ark all around the world, did they? They only built it big enough to put the ones on who cared. So we only need to build our ark big enough to hold the people what want to come with us on the journey.
Said.
So take those people with us, and the rest of them, let them fall off the edge. Who cares?
Almost formation theory.
About to deal with, the less problems we'll have.
But the thing is, Mark, I think what we're talking about is mass formation theory. 30% of people, this is a chappie in, I think is it Belgium? He's a professor, looked into this. 30% of people will believe everything the government tells them. Right? They're dead from the neck upwards. Forget about them. That's it. They're finished. Don't even bother wasting energy on them. 40% go with the flow, and 30% are us that can see through it. But that 40% that go with the flow, that's who the government work on. And this is what we should be working on. And all we need is 5% of that 40% to come over to our side. And the government are very worried.
Shall I give you a really, really interesting statistic? And this comes from a friend of mine who's really, really, really high up in a particular supermarket where every little hurts, let's say. If you take away 1% of Tesco's, I'll use them as the example because that's how I know. If you take away 1% of their turnover, they have to have a directors meeting. 2%, they have a board meeting with all the investors. At 3% of their turnover drop in, the supermarket bank is called in to pay. And if they lose more than 3%, the bank closes them. We don't need to have massive impact on supermarkets. 3% of their turnover is all we need to take away.
Wow.
3%.
By the way,
all. You know, you think how many people want, you know, we've been around the country and 20,000 people told me they all want change. All right, well, I don't know what percentage of the money they spend in supermarkets, but, you know, if we started taking away 20,000 people's worth of shopping on a weekly basis and they enjoy it and they pass on to their friends the experience they've had and how positive it was and how much better they feel on good quality food direct from a farmer, then that spreads. It doesn't take long to pull out 3%. Can you imagine the shit show in Tesco's or any of the other supermarkets when the directors are called into play? Oh, I'd love to be a fly on the wall. Well, what happened? Well, some bastard in a bowler hat came up with an idea and
they're not buying our stuff no more. Yeah, they're leveraged to such like the nth degree, aren't they? They operate on tiny margins. They buy up everything and they bully the suppliers like crap.
Yeah.
And no wonder everybody's miserable. Yeah, it's the middleman. Again, it's just like in the money markets. The exchange maker controls the whole thing. The guy's in charge of the gateway. That's why they put gateways into everything. That's why they were pushing for all this. What was this horse shit idea in the 90s? Interdependence. Up your backside. Yes. I mean, it's just complete nonsense. They make all the nations interdependent on one another so they can control them all. Oh, if you don't do this, that's going to knock that over. So we're going to stop that. And, oh, yeah, well, I better not do it. So no one can move. And it kills the aliveness of individual decision making. That's part of this killing off the aliveness of people's creativity. They can't just go for it in the way that they used to. So, yeah. Right, 3%. There we go. That's encouraging.
Has Bowler Hat Farmer been to Shropshire? I would have thought you had.
I have, yes.
A lot. Yes, yes. And apparently, EXO says shoplifting is taking out supermarkets at the moment. The cost of living is so high, and police follow up minimal. Now, Avenkurt says, "How do I call in?" With great difficulty. I could put the link. Leave it with me. I'll put a link in.
I
Chris,
could
I
put the link to this studio in, Eric, and they could just come in and barge in right in here. I could just stick it in the
Yeah.
YouTube chat right now if you want me to do it.
Yes, please.
One of the things I heard that some people were doing, and I don't think this is a good idea. I think it's really, really, really naughty. People should not be encouraged to behave like this in any way, shape, or form. Let's just clarify that. However, some people who were anti-synthetic meats or bug burgers or whatever nonsense they might come up with in supermarkets were going into supermarkets on a Saturday morning, about 50 of them, loading up all the trolleys and then just pushing them down the aisles and walking off. And obviously I can't condone that. That's terrible behaviour.
No.
But what it did create was massive amounts of waste, because once it's out the fridge, they're not allowed to put it back in. Suddenly,
Yes.
the supermarkets had a huge hit in each store right across the country. It was all organised by one particular yellow board group. And I just think that's brilliant, that, you know, you can pull them to their knees. If everyone works together, we can pull the whole system to bits.
You're spot on. And I'll tell you something, isn't it terrible what these people, they call them, what is it? London lumberjacks. Where they're
Oh, what, the
sawing
boys
down
were cutting
these
down the cameras?
ULEZ.
Yeah, terrible thing.
Yes, yes, ULEZ lumberjacks. I mean, it's terrible. We must condone it, mustn't we?
Absolutely.
Yes, we never do such a thing. I saw on YouTube, so I shouldn't laugh. High Street, people walking around. There's a bloke openly going, and when the thing came down, clapping, and he just sort of casually walks off. You know, that is what I call
I think
positive.
we're going to see a lot more of that as well.
Yes, yes, but now, so we might be getting a phone in now from someone. So shall we see if they're coming on? In fact, I should have actually put the studio link in Telegram, my Telegram thing, because that's what I sometimes do. So that's a good idea for people that like to join my Telegram group. It's
oh yeah, we're very smooth with that, Eric. That was good.
Hi. And also,
he's done this before, hasn't he, Paul?
Yes, he's a smooth
yes.
operator behind the microphone. Very good, Eric.
That's right. Details are below, not in my crutch, but in the description. And not in a bowler hat farmer's bowler hat, you see. I'm pointing downwards. Yes, it's in his hat. Yes, there it is, yes. Apparently your hat has some history, hasn't it? It's Edwardian.
Look at that. That shows how old it is, guys. Look, that's poor little thing. So this was my great-grandfather's.
Yes.
Oh,
When I got it, it lived its life in a box, and it only came out twice a year to go to the Suffolk show and the South Suffolk show, and then I was given it, and it's been out of the box ever since. I don't even know where the box went, but it's had some beautiful loving since I've had it. It's got to go in and have some more TLC though, because the trim's off, and it's been well travelled. It did 10,000 miles on our tour.
Did it?
Also
Needs an MOT.
Yes, planning anything at your farm, because it'd be nice to have a trip up there again. You know, it's the old vegetables and stuff.
Well, we're
what about
moving.
that electric stuff.
We're moving, Eric. We're moving to Grimsby.
oh,
Grimsby.
Moving to Grimsby.
Lincolnshire.
Have you had a history of mental illness or?
No, they've got. I tell you, are you going for the fish and chips because they've got some pretty good chippies up in Grimsby? Fresh haddocks straight out of the north. Oh, that's pretty good actually.
A friend of mine has 5,000 acres, so we're going to play there.
Really
nice.
Yeah, well, you know, my uncle died back in January. Whose farm we were on? So
the
we
one with the steam engine, is it? Is that the one
Yeah,
with the steam
yeah.
engine?
He had the steam
I'd
engine,
love
yeah, and he
to-
sadly died in January. So we were asked to leave the family farm. Let's politely
Oh
say.
no!
So, which is why we went on tour. So we had 7 months away, and now we're concluded on that, the next step is to move to Grimsby and start again.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, because Suffolk is
Going to
is
Grimsby?
beautiful. Yeah, bloody hell.
It is grim
They
in
wanna call it
Grimsby,
grim.
you know. That's why
Oh,
it's
it's
called
beautiful.
Grimsby.
We went up there. It's
No,
actually
no,
a
it's-
fantastic place. Lovely.
Yeah.
Is it? It's as flat
He's
as a
just
I love all
outside,
these northern
yeah,
names
Henley,
though,
I
because all the northern town names do sound gritty and kind of miserable, don't they?
Scarborough.
Some of them.
Grimsby, yeah.
Typhoon
Halifax.
put the team.
I know. I rode my bike all round there when I was a kid for donkey's years and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, Scunthorpe. Anyway, never mind.
Hang on a minute.
Hi.
Avon Court. I'll shove a link in. Don't you worry. I'll just put it in. Just one moment. Okay. Sorry, mate. Right. It's coming through now. Any minute. Give us a little bit of time. I've just got to. There might be a little bit of feedback because I'm actually going into my own show. So just bear with me. Right. Here we go. And right. The link's gone on now. Okay. Right. You'll get that link through. Okay. You should have it now. There it is at the bottom there. Okay. Now the thing is, you're getting further away, so we can nip up and see all your lovely vegetables. Are you going to take the trailer with you with all the vegetables?
No, we've been granted a building on the farm to use as a farm shop, which is even huge.
Oh.
So we're going to have lots of land, a massive distribution centre up there to work in conjunction with Organity, which are based down outside London. And
sounds great.
big things are afoot, gentlemen, let me tell you.
That's exciting stuff, Mark. That is exciting.
Distribution centre down in Devon as well, coming online, and up in Scotland. So watch this space, gentlemen, because big things is happening.
What about Fockham?
Well done.
Is there going to be one near Fockham Hall? That's what I'm wondering about, because where I am, I'm only within walking distance of one farm, and the one with the dairy stuff, it's about 7 or 8 miles away. But Six Blade, but don't tell him this. This is actually Survival Steve, Six Blade, but we won't say that. We will keep it between ourselves. Organised quick reaction force networks in local areas to respond to police and bailiffs. Bring video cameras and toothbrushes. Oh, yes. The toothbrush. Excellent idea, yes.
Well, that's what Cabby do. That's what I was saying earlier. They've got their own police force. They're brilliant. I love them.
Right. Eric, can I ask your guest what he thinks of Jeremy Clarkson's farm?
Well, I'll tell you what. If they're talking about me, I'll tell you what. I'll give you my 2 pence worth. I think when I first used to follow him on telly, and I thought he was a complete cock. And then he got into farming, and I thought, what's this idiot know about farming? Well, I'll tell you what he knew, nothing, which was what made it so fantastic. And I would say in 5 series of the show going out, he's taught the British public more about British farming than any other farming program on television in the history of man. And I think he's done a lot of, and I mean a lot of good for British farming. He's highlighted the bullshit we have to go through, whether that's under planning permissions, whether that's under the value of food, whether that's under the working against the synthetic weather, whatever it might be, he's highlighted it all. And I think the last series where he talked about farming the unfarmable, and him and Caleb had this race to see who could earn the most money. He's obviously got a farm what's been trading for years, just about won the finances, but over thousands of acres of the farm. And he came in second place, not far off after 1 year, and only farming the bits of the farm that nobody else wanted to work. That says to me that if they concentrated on that side, which is what we're telling farmers, come away from that, grow a little bit of vegetables, get some beehives, start looking at what you're producing again. And that's where you get to earn your money. I think he's done brilliantly. I genuinely do.
I just can't stand Jeremy Clarkson, quite honestly. It's just something.
Well, I love him because I'm a Yorkshireman, and I think he's absolutely fantastic. And he needs to be a bit more blunt for me, to be quite honest. But I think he's absolutely. I agree with everything you say, Mark. Right? No, he's got the thing about Yorkshire folk. They say, "What is it? We're very well balanced because we've got a chip on both shoulders." It's that begrudgingness that I actually like. Also, an interesting thing just popped up the other day. I don't know if it was Is it Monday? It might have been back end of last week or over the weekend. There's is it North Doncaster, something like that, is an election thing, and the sitting MP for that, whatever they call it, because I don't follow politics, whatever it is, where they vote, is Ed Millipede, right? North Doncaster. And Clarkson said, "Hey, would you like me to run against him?" Basically, and they've all gone, "Yeah, yeah." The Millipede, it just overwhelmed him. Of course, they'd find some other cozy little bolt hole for that numpty to go and live in, and or to get his seat back or something like that. But I mean, they have given us comic gold. It's just that there's all these intermediaries that keep listening to him. But the actual competence of the people at the top. I don't think you can really use the word competence to describe them. I mean, it's just not.
Well, but can you not? Because when you look at the 2030 agenda and what they're actually putting into place, they are delivering it with much due diligence. We can all say this is down to incompetence. It's not. There's no incompetency involved at all. They are doing a fantastic job of destroying our country, and not just our country either.
No, you're right. You're right.
Is there a caller coming in? Because I'll give him the link. Yes. Good evening, Elven Court. Thank you very much for coming online. It's much appreciated. So,
hi, Eric. All right.
Oh, okay. Thanks. What's happened? Something's gone funny with our screen. We've lost. Oh, hang on. He's back again. There he is.
Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you okay. And far away, what would you like to say to...
There's no echo either because I'm actually talking to you through my phone. So.
That's excellent. So, what would you like? Please talk away to Mark.
I just had to go and verify my account, so the moment's probably passed a little bit. But you talking about the farming and the supermarkets and such. And one thing I might have missed this because I was doing my accounts, but one thing that I was wanted to say was the main reason people use the supermarkets obviously is because of the convenience. So that's where we need to get them. That's where we need to get people back on board is with the convenience. So doing things like what Paul was saying, and actually linking with your local, with your neighbours and everything, and trying to get it back that way. I remember obviously the milkman and the local butchers and everything. One thing I was going to say was I remember when I was about 10 years old, 1990. And my mum actually coming and telling us about this new supermarket opening in St Austell, and it was Asda, and she said how fantastic it was that it was a supermarket with all these shops around the outside. And in my young naive head, I was like, that's a brilliant idea. You've got all these shops around the outside, so you've got the local butchers and you've got the local bakery and you've got the local key maker, key cut, whatever. And of course, when we went there, it wasn't. It was the Asda bakery and the Asda butchers, and it made me think: why on earth have the local government? This is as a 10-year-old. Why have the local government or local council supplied this massive bit of land, which was local fields, for a massive corporation to come in and provide jobs? Fair enough, but it's taken away the custom from the local butchers and the local bakery and all the rest of it. And why it wasn't a big supermarket set up and the local bakery and the local butchers all invited so that they've got the convenience of a big car park? Why weren't they invited to come in and set up and use that space instead of the corporation like Asda and all the rest of them? Yeah, so that was my 2 pence anyway. I just wanted to say, why wasn't that done?
Well, I think in simple answer to that is they did exist, and it was called the High Street. And then they started putting parking charges in place, and then they started doing anything they could to stop the greengrocer surviving, and the butcher and the baker and the candlestick maker couldn't stand on the High Street anymore because it was too expensive, and they closed. And that's sadly where the council have then bullied the small people into submission, whilst allowing big business to take over. And we know why they've done that, because they've been paid to do so. Exactly. You've only got to look in the town we live in Bury St Edmunds. We have a beautiful, beautiful lorry park paid for by, I think it was I think that one was paid by Tesco's. I think Sainsbury's paid for. We had a huge park in the town where they wanted to do upgrades because it was originally came from a park of a stately home. They wanted to make it for the public, and I think Sainsbury's paid for that. And then Asda paid. I can't remember, but it just goes on. And this is what we're up against: the small individual players. But I don't think it would take a lot to tip the balance. Every supermarket now is already in place in all the towns. The only thing you can do now is to pull them to bits. So for me, if it's a lifelong policy of mine is going to be, to do what I can to just make sure they don't survive anymore.
Well, a perfect example
Yes.
is Waltham Abbey. Now, it's a touristy area because, you've got the Abbey there. And I'm often there because my friend Miles, Dr. Fleetwood, he runs Abbey Health Stores. Plug. But I remember when it used to be the high street. It's a very sort of, I wouldn't say it's that narrow, but it's a reasonably narrow high street. It's oldie worldy. They've got jetties, as a bit like the Shambles in Yorkshire. Not quite as good as that. And you used to have to sort of almost queue to get down the high street on market day because it was such a good market there. But then what happened? The council allowed 2 supermarkets to open up at one end of the high street. That's Tesco's and Lidl's. And at the other end, they opened up another out-of-town supermarket place where they've got Poundland and Home Bargains and places like that, where they've got free parking, okay? Free parking in both of these places. And then they did the killer, the local council, they imposed car parking charges in the car park that served the high street.
Yeah.
And now it's dead. You go there any day of the week, you walk down the high street and it's like a Sunday afternoon. Nothing. And all you get is a few dossers in a few people dossing and druggies. And the only supermarket, there's Co-op that's there, and loads of boarded up places. No banks. The banks have all closed down there. Nothing. And the market days, it's a bit like a very bad car boot sale. It's awful. It really is deplorable, And that's it. Oh, it's massage parlours. That's what they've got down there now. A couple of massage parlours.
Thai ones.
Yes, that's right. Is that money laundering as well?
I don't know, gentlemen. I'm conscious of the time. I've got a very, very early start, and I need to get myself off of here. Really, it's been emotional, guys, to be back with you all. Thank you very much for your kindness to have me back on the show, Eric von Gudenhagen, whoever you are this week. Now I'm back in the land of the living. I would like to participate a little more than I have done over the last 7 months while I've been away. So we're back in the land of the fight is on. That's where we've got to be now.
Thank you so much for coming on.
It's been great, Mark. Really enjoyed it.
Show. And let's not leave it so long next time you're on, because
now we're back. Now we're back in the fight. We can get on here and talk some sense to the general public who are just fighting their way through the bullshit on a daily basis.
Well, that's right. Now we better have a plug, because you've got a YouTube show as well that goes out, I believe.
The Bowler Hat Farmer. The Bowler Hat Farmer on any social media. And the important one really at the minute, Eric, is foodfindershub.org. If you're a member of the public, go there and find your local farmer. And if you are a farmer, grower, producer, butcher, baker, candlestick maker, advertise yourself on there free of charge.
Excellent. And your website is
thebowlerhatfarmer.com.
I'll just sort of remind you there. Thanks, mate. Brilliant. And it's much appreciated coming on. And it's nice to see your partner as well. Just the side of her head. That was it.
She's hiding in the corner. She's decided she's got a bad back, so she's got to hide herself.
We won't go into that. But anyway.
7 months in a camper van.
Oh, dear. Oh, you're a camper van enthusiast as well. That's
well,
good.
I wasn't.
I haven't got one.
I wasn't. We bought one for £1,200.
Wow.
And then took it 10,000 miles. It's a 40-year-old VW camper van. We bought it.
Excellent.
and drove around the country for 10,000 miles in it.
They're
Brilliant,
bloody
isn't
good, they are, the VWs. But I'm very much in. I've always wanted one. But actually, to get a van and convert it myself, stealth camping. That's what they call
Stealth.
it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Camper vans are all right, but you need curtains. That's something we've got to get. Anyway, boys, it's been emotional.
thanks, Mark. Thank you
See you
very
soon,
much.
guys. Cheerio,
Bye
boys.
now.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Yes, excellent. And there we go. And I think we'll be back to, where are we? Is our guest still in the studio? Yes. Hello, Avon called. Have you anything more you'd like to say? Hello? I think we've all gone silent. Hello?
I'm
Is
here.
anybody there?
Sorry,
Oh,
I
you're
am
here.
still here. Yeah, I lost you.
Yeah, that's all right. Well, I some people tell me to get lost anyway, but yes. So you're in Cornwall, a place I've always looked on as home. I love Cornwall.
I am. I'm about 3 miles down the road from Maleficus.
Really?
Yeah,
Excellent.
he's a very good friend of mine.
Oh, he's often on here as well. And I think you know Maleficus, don't you, Paul?
I do.
It's one big happy family, isn't it? That's nice, isn't it?
It is.
And yes, cool. Are you on the coast?
Yeah, the north coast. Yeah, near Newquay.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah,
When I was a
I can't
kid,
complain.
when we went on holidays to Cornwall, I always said, "Well, we're going home. I'm going home." I've always looked at it as my home. It's funny.
You know the trees
Sorry.
then?
There's a lack of them. lack of trees.
Yeah, there's a lot
Cornwall,
of
isn't there?
fields, but no, the famous trees up on the left hand side as you just pass into Cornwall. I can't remember the actual name of the area because I think it's just a famous, almost like a landmark known to locals that as soon as you see them, you know you're home.
Really? Oh, that's excellent. It used to be Newquay. I think they cleaned it up a bit now, but it used to be if you say which way is the beach, you just say follow the tin cans. That's where it used to be. But I think it has been cleaned up, But
It's gone through its stages. It went through. It was family, and then it was 1830 holidays, and then it was similar for 16-year-olds, and then it went through a spout where it got some bad press from people falling off cliffs and stuff.
Really?
I shouldn't laugh, but it's it's just the local press. And it's the council are trying to rebuild the sort of family vibe again, but it's lost its spark. It's all the big flats that are replacing all the hotels. I think all the hoteliers kind of they used to go away in the winter. They wouldn't spend the money on their buildings, and they got run down, and over the last sort of 10, 15 years have been selling off to property developers. And they've been building, 3-story flats, and it's just taken away its shine, really. But it is a beautiful place. I can't complain. I'm in the sea whenever I can, and
sewage
yeah.
would be a problem there in Newquay because the sewage outlet was a little bit too close to the beach. So if the
actual local surfing, I forget what it's called now. There was one of the competitions down at Porthtowan got cancelled because of an overflow actually into the sea. They had to call all the youngsters out of the water, and it got cancelled, which is a bit unfortunate. But if you speak to a lot of the local surfers, some of my friends, the sea is actually relatively clean. But what happens over the holidays, if you like, is the population kind of doubles, and then it can't cope. All you need is one downpour of rain, and all the overflows start flowing into the sea. So, but I mean, it's a lot better than it used to be, if I'm honest. But there's still Southwest Water are still getting massive fines, so there's still a problem.
They ought to call parts of Cornwall Penwallet, because all it is everybody goes as some arsehole with their hand out for parking. You can't park anywhere in Cornwall. That's the problem, isn't it?
Well,
but
it's all automated now, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah, well, it's very nice of you to come on. Thank you,
Yeah, thank you.
gents.
It's good to talk to you again.
Thank
Yeah,
you
nice having you,
very
Alvon.
Yes,
Thank you, Paul.
and welcome on any time if you'd like to come on.
Brilliant.
And so is Herodotus. And thank you, Paul. Is there anything you'd like to say to the audience before we go, Paul?
Who me?
Anybody? Anything you'd like to say?
Well, I'm
before
quite
we
impressed
sign
that
off?
Alvon Kurt's daughter changed his handle on Rumble. So his
On
his
YouTube.
daughter's. Oh yeah, whatever, wherever. That's really good. So I'm quite impressed with that. So she's
Monty's Adventures,
great.
yeah.
Interfering with your social networking life. I quite like that. I think that's quite cheeky and good. I'm quite impressed with all that. I've just really enjoyed it tonight, Eric. It's been brilliant. Really, really good conversation. Very constructive and pointing the right way. A lot throughout the show. The whole course of the show is pointing the right way, and so it's encouraging. Yeah, good to be part of a conversation. Thanks for having me on.
For one, sorry, Paul. I would like to see a campaign for the local councils to provide a supermarket-style building for local producers.
Yes.
It's not going to happen, though. We've got to do it. It used to be a thing. There used to be, like the market hall, and that's exactly what it was. So yeah, there was an open market or a market hall, and some towns and cities still have them, but not many. Most have kind of lost them.
Well, councils have been taken over by Common Purpose, haven't they? And
and they've become corporate. Yeah,
that's right. I mean, my local council, they call it the Lodge, because seriously, it's unbelievable. It really is. And I think most, if not all, councils are as corrupt can be. The word democracy doesn't come into it. There's no such thing as democracy. I mean, in fact, I don't believe in democracy anymore. I don't think it works. Now, we got a fan, Paul Hatchie says, "I love Paul English. He'd be safe." That's good, isn't it?
Good. Yeah. Well, I love you back then, Hatchie. I've got to say something like that, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We'll get all soft.
You remember that song? You remember that song, "Living in a Box"? You remember it? By a band called Living in a Box. And the album was called Living in a Box, just in case you got confused and didn't know what you were. I don't know if you remember, it's an 80s song. But I was thinking, we're actually living in the lodge, aren't we? We're living in a Mason's lodge. It's masonry that is one of the unifying glues of all these guys, all of them. They're all in the lodge, all of them.
20 years ago, maybe. But you know what? I think the power's disappeared from Freemasonry. It's moved on somewhere else. There's definitely power, but that's not it's the dynamic, it moved somewhere else.
But
they're very good at disguising their loss of power as well. They've got a history of that. I remember there's a thing with the Jesuit order in about, where was it, 1700s. It was during the War of Independence in the States. And what was the name? Lorenzo Ricci was the Jesuit general, and he disbanded, so he said in public, he disbanded the Jesuit order, and it disappeared, so he said, so everybody believed it. It was complete crap. They just went into a different mode. They went into a completely different mode.
They mutate. They actually mutate.
Yeah, and then it came back in a different way. So not that,
they reinvent
themselves. I think even though it's obviously, and many of us have spent many hours looking at all these sorts of things for good reason, and it has been valuable to do it, marrying it up with something positive and buildy, something construction-y, like the food world that we're going to get involved with, is kind of one of these ingredients that's been missing. And it is a unifier. Every single person that we talk to, irrespective of how wacky their political ideas may be or not, they've got to eat. And it may well prove to be a unifying factor, so that people go, look, just put all the politics aside, let's sort this out, and something else would arise in its place that you can't really anticipate, I think. Although I think most of us in our bones have got a memory of it. It's an echo.
Can I interject here? So what I would say is, if we're going to rebuild our society, if we're going to rebuild the institutions, what we have to do is build something called a social movement. I think I might have said this before, There's a difference between a social movement and a movement of ideas, because it actually provides something concrete. It provides something that people really need, and this is what we have to do. We have to provide things that are missing from people's lives. So we don't just offer politics, we don't just offer talk, we've got to offer something practical. And people through that will learn to cooperate, and that's how we rebuild our society.
I think, can you, come in. As you know, I wanted to call in and maybe another time speak about the education. I worked in a primary school for 8-9 years, but I could go into that, but maybe another time. But coming down to the education thing, I think people have. I don't want to be preachy because I've spent a long time on the food thing. Back in, I think I've had my first vegetable garden back in 2008, but that was after following a breakup, and I just needed the almost like the meditation and the headspace, and I found just weeding, just even though I was thinking, I kind of was switching off. But coming back to the education thing, people have, and I don't want to sound preachy, but people have forgotten how to eat. So I started growing my own vegetables, and I'd go to the supermarket and I'd get all the bits that you couldn't get, or you couldn't grow for yourself or whatever. And I remember the checkout lady saying to me, she goes, "Oh, you eat healthy, don't you?" And I didn't even have a vegetable on the till. And I said, "Well, 90% of the stuff in here is inedible. It shouldn't even be for sale. It's not food. It's food-like products." And the thing is, people have forgotten that in our convenience and the way we live nowadays, we never used to have fridges and freezers. We used to eat like fermented food and cultured food and meat which was cured.
Sauerkraut.
And this, sauerkraut, kimchi. Obviously, a lot of this stuff is from around Europe and all around different parts of the world. But we had cheeses, as Patrick will know, and is Patrick the ambassador of cheese, isn't it?
That's right. Yes, yes, ambassador of cheese. Yes.
And meats, you still see this on the continent, don't you? With like the cured meats and the different cheeses and whatnot. But people have forgotten. They seem to buy food like products, albeit ready meals. I've got to say, I've got a lot better over the years. But and I still will buy the odd one as a cheat night, whatever. But it comes down to the fact that people haven't got the time to cook anymore because we're kept in this perpetual bubble of being busy.
You're right. I mean, I don't have a white.
I agree with you, but I think we do. I tell you, because I've had to do cooking. I've been the cook at home for a long time now, and the one thing that I love more than anything else is my slow cooker. The slow cooker's just, and you just put steak and stuff and veggies in there, and it's just the best, and it's really fast. So, but you're right, I could do with, I'm fed up of eating. Actually, the last few months I'm just going, do I have to cook? I can't even be bothered because I've just been sort of plowing through the same menu for years. I'm just going, time for a change, but I don't know what to change to. Anyway, we're going to be growing all these exotic strange things, or maybe not, just really wholesome fantastic things.
Well,
I mean, one of the things I want to see, one of the things I'm hoping for, Eric, maybe this is sort of me being a child about it, but I'm hoping that if I connect up with enough people here locally, I will find ladies that bake good apple pies.
Excellent.
I want to buy them. I will actually pay for a homemade apple pie made within 200 yards of where I'll go around and I'll pick it up. And I remember years ago when we first moved here, there was all these nice little things. Now, we had a couple over the road, Margaret. She was 94. Full of beans. She lived to 103. Me and my wife went to 100th at the time. But when we got him, my wife was pregnant. She used to come over when Kath was in the hospital. She used to come over and just bring us food. She said, "You must be very hungry." And she was 92, and she'd come over with all these lovely rice dishes and things. And I tell you, there's something you never forget. Your granny cooking and doing stuff. It's the most magical stuff. I don't take it for granted at all. Yeah, it always
tastes so much better when someone makes it for you.
My mum, My mum
it
cooking as
does.
well.
It's just
And-
wonderful. So we could get,
Mm.
I want to get back to that. I can't bake. I'm a bloke. It's not right. It's just wrong. I'm not doing that. I'll do meat and stuff and blokey things, but I'm not, so that's it. I'm old fashioned in that way. Yeah, rhubarb crumble, a gooseberry pie. I hadn't had a gooseberry in years. I used to go up to the local thing and they go, "Oh, it's over. Gooseberry season's like 3 weeks." I'm going, why can't I get gooseberry pie? I haven't eaten it in donkeys years. I love it. It's gorgeous. Makes all that pastry go all toffee.
Well, the other part of growing and making your own food, particularly with growing it, is it really does connect you back to your environment. We literally were the soil, connected to the soil that was beneath our feet. We'd look after it. They knew to look after it.
They used to use electroculture as well, which, strange enough, I went up to Mark's farm to see a demonstration of electroculture. That's in Suffolk, But do you think that tonight's show had a certain energy in it? I felt that energy. Did you sort of, Nathan, Paul, Avon, Kurt? There was a certain energy tonight. There's a positive energy, a very good energy. And I think the team, we got it just right tonight. It really is working well. And the time that the bowler hat farmer came on was just perfect. It just, it just worked well.
Yes, I really enjoyed what he had to say. Very much.
Yeah, good stuff.
I think we need to repeat it again soon. Thank you, everyone, tonight. And Avon, Kurt, if you'd like to come on the show, my contact details are below here, and I'm on Telegram. That's the best way of contacting me, really, is through Telegram. I'm on there most of the time, but I'm also on Facebook. I think that this is how we got Anorak on the show, because he was actually in the chat room. Anorak, well, we call him Anorak. It's Paul, actually, not Paul English, but another Paul. And it's funny.
Although I do have an Anorak.
You don't, do you? An Anorak was short.
Do you have yours? I do have it. Of course. I want to get a nice Anorak. I feel lost without it. I mean, I won't look as snappy as you do. You look like James Bond tonight, Eric. I mean, it's fantastic. Right. It's great. All these suits and things. I mean, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, but you haven't seen you haven't seen my scruffy jeans that I got on, have you?
I just assumed that you were naked from the waist down to put excitement into the show, you see.
Stockings and suspenders, of course.
Steady. Aunt Sally says, she says, apple pie. Yeah, I don't know whether he's a gentleman, actually. He says, Aunt Sally says, lol, apple pie is one of the easiest things to bake. So you're going to bake me one, Aunt Sally. This is great, but don't drop it in the bath. But yeah, it's a bit of a way to come. But
she does some bloody nice cakes, because funny enough, I was in Miles's place the other week, and she came in and she had some cakes. Cool. Blimey, they didn't touch the sides. They went straight down, and a beautiful coconut one it was, and there's no crap in it. It's crap free, so there's no sugar or anything like that. Oh, bloody hell, it's gorgeous. So Aunt Sally, you can be the fuck 'em all cook. How's that? The cook advisor.
Ambassador of cakes.
Yes, ambassador of cakes. Yes. But anyway, thank you.
Well, Eric, if I was you, I'd be on to Aunt Sally a lot for some apple pie. I mean, a couple of months ago, there was a woman round here in the Ginnel, as I call it. They don't call them Ginnels down here. What do they call them? Twittens. How about that? You know, the little passageways around the back of houses and things. They call it a twitten round here, which I quite like. But anyway, she's down there picking all these blackberries, and I cheekily asked her if she would make me a blackberry pie, but it was a good exchange. It wasn't rude or anything like that, but she didn't want to do that. I said, I'd pay you. Because blackberry and apple pie, oh boy, I'm salivating actually here thinking about it. You remember bilberries? You can't get bilberries anymore. They're amazing.
Well,
bilberry pie.
In Waltham Abbey, there was a greengrocer, a traditional one, that sold cob nuts, Kent cob nuts. You can't get nuts anywhere now.
Really?
What's that? What's a Kent cob nut, Eric? What's that?
It's just cob
larger,
nut.
Softer.
Yeah.
More taste.
Yeah, and that greengrocer's gone. They've gone. The butcher's has gone. There is no shops apart from now. I think there's just massage parlours and sort of nothing shops.
We'll take the country back through baking.
That's right. Oh, there's Miles' shop
We will.
there. He's not enough.
We'll bake our way to freedom. That'll
Yes.
be it. Housewives of England, get ready.
That's
right. There's a story I'll just mention. So there was a pub in our area, lovely pub, beautiful little spot, an oasis just at the edge of the city. Regulars, music, live music, loads of life community in the place, and it got bought. And the new owner wanted to turn it into a fun pub for students. And that's exactly what they did. Now, they didn't know that's what was happening. So anyway, it was going to be closed for renovation. And some of the locals started their own little pub in somebody's garage around the corner. And when the new pub opened and they realised it wasn't for them, it was just a kids' fun pub, well, they just kept up the same thing. They had this, they started their own pub in a garage. And, basically, why do you need to go somewhere else so you can do your own stuff? You don't have to be slaves to the guy who owns the premises.
Start your own, but that's right. And was it? I like Hadji said a Kent Cobnut. Is that a cottaging thing? Sorry.
Do you think we're at the end of the show here? I'm getting sort of certain signs coming in.
yes. But
I've thought about. I mean, what was a pub? You'd basically say, "Hey, I'm going to open it up to the public today." I'd just open it up to my neighbours around here. Yeah, I mean, it'd be great. Probably not over the winter. It might be a bit challenging. Although I'm thinking of putting one of those big sort of fire pits in the garden. I've got a lot of wood to burn. So, like put a big cart on, come around, bring some beer around, sit under the stars, let's burn a fire and tell tales. And if somebody brings a pie, they get in for free.
Campfire. Yeah. That's a good deal. I'd go with that.
Yeah.
And potatoes always taste better from a bonfire, don't they? There's always something about potatoes. And
how about a tureen of soup? Eh? That would be the thing.
Yeah.
We're going to win it by going through people's stomachs. That's really what we're saying.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. Anyway,
the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. It really is.
It's lamb stew for me.
Lamb stew.
Oh, that sounds good, actually.
Yes. Actually, I like pancakes. I'm a pancake enthusiast. I've always loved pancakes. Yes. And I'm going to try and find a way of making pancakes without wheat.
Right. I've got a couple of suggestions for you. I'll share those after the show. So there are things like Indian dosas and idlis that are made with a mixture of rice and lentil flour.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, Eric, if you could get one of those chef's hats on, you could do a cooking special. It'd be good. This is what we want. Although Hatchie has written in and said that he thinks you look like Ernst Stavro Blofeld. So we might need to get you a white. We might need to get you one of those white pussycats. Yeah, you need to get one.
Oh yes.
We need to get you a white pussycat, and you can call it Fockham. And your little pet cat. Fockham holds feline, and that's it. And you could just sit there. I'm not going to get any more vulgar, but you can see the double entendres are coming up quick, aren't they? So I'm going to lay off those. I'll leave that to you, Eric. But that's what you need. Ernst Stavro von Essex.
On a cookery thing, we started on a shall we say a bit lavatorial, and I think we'll end on a lavatorial. And Stephen Truthinger says you can get wheat-free flour.
But what's it made of? You can mix your own.
But what I'm going to say is I'll be as polite as I can. Where I used to work, there's somebody that must have had a terrible stomach because when he left the loo, you wouldn't want to go in there for about 10 minutes. There was flies on their back. That's how bad it was. But what he used to do, he used to come out the trap and go straight out the door without washing his hands. So if you were in there washing your hands, people might think it's you that's going. And I was in there one day washing my hands, and he came out of one of the traps after making a terrible smell, straight out the loo. And there was a bloke called Bubble. He was Greek, but he was born in this country, a right old Cockney accent. And he walked, he went, bloody hell, what a stink. And I said, the smell of home cooking, just like a mama used to make. And he was away on the floor with laughter. And on that note, Please join us again. Thank you, our guest, Avon Court.
Alvon Kurt.
Nathan, Alvin Kurt. I'm terribly sorry. I thought it was called Alvin Kurt. Sounds very German, right?
Right. Yeah, it actually came from an ex-girlfriend. She used to call me Von Kurt, so
Von
I don't know why.
Oh well,
I quite liked it. So
Nathan, please come on soon. And again, and obviously there's Paul, and the other thing I was going to say is there's something happening this Thursday, isn't there, Paul?
Just the usual Melly Thursday, 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. Yep, absolutely.
That's right.
I don't know what we're talking about. I think I might want to just carry on talking about fruit pies, really. I mean, it's as good a thing to talk about as any. So, we'll start off with fruit pies and we can work our way into political intrigue and ancient historical philosophy. Yeah, it's it's an easy segue. We can easily do that.
With a few fart jokes in between as well.
You can do whatever you like, Eric.
Yes. Okay. Right.
Yep.
And
I'm hoping that you will bring the pussycat on Thursday, because I think I can just see you now with the pussycat in and I think it would work. I really do. I think it really would work.
I'll borrow my neighbour's pussy then. I'll bring the pussycat in. Very polite there, you notice. And and this Sunday we might be getting David back, who will be talking about the thing with Marconi and the Falklands. So he may be coming back. And on Monday we've got Survival Steve telling you more survival tips as well. And of course, the Monday after that, we've got Dr. What's her name? Dr. Mayhill coming on. It was very, very interesting. She got struck off for prescribing vitamins to her patients.
Wow.
And she is a very interesting doctor. And so she's coming on. So any questions, and I bought her her stuff. What was it now? Lugol's iodine, and it's very good as well. So I bought some from her shop. So it's very good, Lugol's iodine, and that's it. So anyway, thank you very much, everybody. And remember to subscribe, put your thumbs up. If you're feeling generous, you can buy a coffee. And whatever happens, have a bloody good laugh and good night.